we present the News Quiz with your host, Susan Cowman.
Hello and welcome to the News Quiz. We start with a cutting from the BBC News website read by Cathy Clugston.
Due to bad weather, the Isle of Man ferry service has been cancelled. A replacement bus service is available.
Our thanks to everyone who sent us that. Now let's meet the teams. Will you welcome first on my right, Jeremy Hardy and Holly Walsh. And opposite them on my left, Ramesh Ranganathan and Mark Steele. Jeremy, who went head to head the nation?
7 people policed very authoritatively by Julie Etchingham, who dressed as a dental hygienist to terrify them. So they'd all just be very, very nervous. And it was an extraordinary cavalcade. Miliband had very bad advice. He stared at the camera the whole time. He's obviously surrounded by Blairites who want him to lose and deliberately give him bad advice. Like a leprechaun appearing on your shoulder just before your driving test and saying, "Remember, keep your eyes closed and your fingers crossed." So he did the whole Oswald Mosley thing of staring at the camera, and then somebody said, "Oh, those American expressions go well, you know." And so he did Reagan saying, "There you go again." The other week he said, "Hell yeah." I kept expecting him to suddenly say, "Ask not what your country can do for you." And he's obviously, he's got very bad minders who hate him, who want to mess him up. Clegg was in an extraordinary mood. I think that would have been very tense between him and Cameron afterwards. "Would your lordship like anything else before I retire?" "No, Clegg, but I was rather disappointed by your rather extraordinary performance this evening." "Oh, just a little skit to entertain the rest of the servants, your lordship." Extraordinary performance.
I think it's pointless, Clegg, being there after you've already done a load of debates and promised a load of things at a previous election and then done completely the opposite. It's pointless him say he should have just brought in games, shouldn't he, Clegg? Should have had hungry hippos.
I felt like he was just doing an audition for the best man speech ever. At the end of it, when they were sort of summing up, I felt like he'd spent the whole time kind of auditioning to be a best man, and at the end, when they were like, "If there's anything you want to say at the end," I thought he just should propose a toast to the married couple.
Yeah, the conclusion of the nation is that women are better than men and we should all live in Scotland. English voters, I say, "I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind living up there." And then you have the SNP. Yeah, all right, fine, if you want to be blamed for everything for the rest of your life, then live under the SNP.
Well, the thing is, the Times poll said that Nicola Sturgeon won the debate. And I mean, who'd have thought that all you needed to do was not shout over people and calmly stick to your guns?
Shut it, woman!
But see, a lot of people are worried about Nicola Sturgeon having more power in Westminster. But I mean, I can't see a short Scottish woman taking over a beloved English institution.
Cameron did nothing at all. He set this whole thing up because he knew it would be a huge mess and it'd have the Greens, the SNP implied, all to the left of Miliband, spending the whole time attacking Miliband. And Miliband would just be trying to fight fires to his left. And Miliband's trying to sort of attack Cameron, but just being attacked. And so what Cameron basically did, he's like a bloke who starts a pub fight by going, "She called you a slag," and then hides in the toilet. It just disappeared for the whole thing.
It's quite interesting because even when Clegg attacked Cameron then twisted it back onto Miliband, you know, and Miliband was on the offensive. One of the things that Miliband said was he said that he was talking about the NHS and he was saying that you know, it was the waiting times at the NHS were 18 months and under us we reduced them to 18 weeks. And I thought that's a convenient little figure. And I wondered, you know, it's quite a nice sound, but I wondered if they had the opportunity to reduce it to 17 weeks. But they thought that's not going to sound as good in the debate. So let's just keep it at 18.
But Cameron's answer, you know, why he's done a good job with the NHS, he says, "We've got rid of 20,000 NHS bureaucrats." I thought, where are they, these people? It's a bit, well, it's like when Thatcher shut down all the psychiatric wards and called it, you know, care in the community. There are all these former NHS bureaucrats getting involved in other stuff and contracting out the cleaning. And so what did you bring to the NHS? Well, basically MRSA.
Holly, what did you think about Natalie Bennett from the Green Party and her performance in the debate?
This is really bad to say, but I sort of... The less confidence she had, the more I liked her. I was really rooting for her by the end. I was like, come on. I genuinely felt like she was having a similar experience to me on a lot of panel shows where she was like just trying to get a word in edgeways half the time. Like, and that's the end. That's it.
It was remarked upon that there were more women in the leaders' debate than there have been on Mock the Week in some considerable... The thing about Natalie Bennett, though, is she does have some quite interesting ideas. She's got some quite brilliant ideas in a lot of ways, but there's no idea how to implement them. She's kind of like the flatmate you have at uni who educates you about blood diamonds but never does the washing up. It's that kind of...
Also, it is that thing, if there were too many people. I think 7 is too many. It felt a bit like one of those sort of charity singles that they do for Comic Relief where everyone gets one line from a song. That you would add it all up and they'd have sung Perfect Day. That's how
that was Cameron's idea, though, wasn't it, Storm? That was Cameron's idea, because he didn't want to have the debate. So first of all, he said, I'm not going to do it unless the Greens are involved. Now they won't do that. So then the broadcaster said, well, we'll get the Greens in. And then he said, but now the Northern Ireland parties have to be involved. And he kept trying to put it off. And he thought, even if they agreed to that, he'll say, well, I think there should be someone from ISIS should be there, it seems rather unfair. And what about my neighbour, who's 83 and doesn't get out much? And I think there should be 840 of us. And you're quite right, there'll be too many of us to say a line each. So we should all just have a grunt each.
But Ramesh, one of the things that people commented on was Ed Miliband looked directly into the camera. Now, I find it slightly creepy. I was watching it in a hotel room and I was in my pants. And I felt like he could see into my very... I ended up putting trousers on because I thought he could actually see me in my pants.
Yeah.
I thought it was do you enjoy the straight into the camera kind of stuff?
I found it quite arousing, and I had the opposite effect. I was initially fully clothed, and by the end of it, I was naked as the day I was born. I really loved it. I sort of think that it's part of the symptom of the fact that he wants to, he's been accused of not being convincing when he's talking, and I feel a bit sorry for him because, he feels like he's making sense, but unfortunately, he's saying it the way he says it, and so he's trying to deal with those issues, and so obviously he's been told to stare down the barrel of the camera in some sort of attempt to scare us all into voting for it. I don't know, if you say his name into the mirror 5 times, he'll appear and save the NHS. I don't know. It's a weird advice he's been given to do that. But the one thing I did like is that he was because Clegg wore a yellow tie, Cameron wore a blue tie. He went for silver. I thought, hello, Ed's a bit of a maverick, isn't he? I'm going to wear a silver tie and creep people out. That's the way I'm doing it.
No, he does take things way too literally. He gets given this advice, like that fist with the thumb slightly pointing up. He takes everything to that extreme, like look down the camera the whole time. But what he does, and he gets obsessed. He's obsessed with 0 hours contract. Well, that's a good thing to have a policy about. But then he just talks about that one thing, and then ignores the fact that he's been accused of crashing the economy. And I wasn't a huge fan of Blair or Brown, but they didn't crash the economy. It was the global banking system. There wasn't a moment in Wall Street in 2007 when someone said, "Holy cow! Public spending as a percentage of GDP has risen in the UK. We've got to get out of here. This whole banking system's going to blow any minute." That isn't what happened.
I mean, without a doubt, the positive reaction seemed to be that Nicola Sturgeon did incredibly well, as did Leanne Wood. I mean, personally, I very much admired the way that she responded to Farage's HIV comment. It was kind of in that I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed way. When some of the leaders then responded on Twitter 2 hours afterwards when they'd realised they probably should have said something about it. But Leanne Wood did very well.
Brilliant. She was she was so brilliantly Welsh, wasn't she? She looked like she was just a mum from the Rhondda and when Farage sat there, she looked like she was about to say, "Oh, you say anything like that again, you'll get the back of my hand, you horrible little public school oik."
She was lucky, though, because she got to say a lot of words that sound awesome in a Welsh accent, like rhetoric.
Rhetoric.
It's so good.
I wonder if they pre-selected those words. Do you know what I mean? Just to give her accent the best framework.
Yeah. Well, some of the phrases kept coming up. I mean, Nick Clegg kept calling David Cameron by his full name. He keeps saying David Cameron, and you just think, look, he's your husband, Nick. Stop,
It's what you say to a naughty child using their whole name. You know that in real life he calls him Sir, but It's that what you do when you're cross with somebody. Susan Calman.
The other thing Miliband kept saying is, what the people at home want to know. And I thought, who are you talking to then? If you know,
He was definitely talking to the people at home. That's...
He had this Darren Brown thing where he just, I'm going to stare at you until I know what you want. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he didn't push his polls up very much, but 85,000 people found their watches stopped.
There was this whole narrative going on among the women, who are all to the left of Labour, saying, let's not make an issue out of austerity. So we actually need to talk about this as a country. Should we just stop paying the deficit down? Because if we don't need, if we can just run a national debt, because it was pointed out that the country's been in debt for forever. You can just be in debt. So that's a conversation we need to have as a country. Should we just not pay it back?
I've never understood. It's one of those questions that I just didn't understand. When we're having the austerity measures and people saying we need to, it's because of the deficit. I was thinking, well, nobody's explained are they going to repossess Sussex? I don't understand.
Okay, so here it is, Ron. So you've got a mortgage where you live, probably, haven't you? Right, so you should stop feeding your children. Don't feed your children until you've paid it all back to the Woolwich. That's sensible economics. Yeah. I think we can all agree. Let's not go to the bad old days of having mortgages and feeding children.
Now, let's move on to Mr. Farage. I don't know about you, I think he just puts as many controversial things as he can in a tombola and then says, OK, tonight it's going to be immigrants with HIV. This is going to be a vote winner. I can tell it is, absolutely. So he was quite obsessed with houses every 7 minutes. He was spending, I don't know if anyone saw one being built every 7 minutes. I didn't.
You can't build a house in 7 minutes. You really can't. Because you've got to get the materials before you even start.
Yeah.
You need at least 11 minutes.
Yeah. You've got to get planning permission as well.
Yeah, that takes about 15. So, anyone, any views on Mr. Farage?
I like him. I like him. There you go, I said it, I like the dude. I like the cut of his jib, and I like his jib. I just sort of, he's sort of... He kind of comes across as a charming... he's got this kind of... I like the way he sort of wobbles his head as he talks. I find him very charming.
For the listeners at home, Ramesh is not being forced to say these words. Just in case anyone... But he came top in some of the polls after the debate.
I was sort of watching it thinking, this guy's convinced me. I just and then I was on the phone to my mum, what have you really contributed? Do you know what I mean?
Political. Comedian Ramesh Ranganathan says to his own mother.
He's like, he does just sort of, he's just like the bloke in the corner of the pub who just says things, and he thinks, I'll just chuck a lump of these out. Yeah, HIV, that's what cool. Romanians, fact this is, right, 97%, they're 97% the same DNA as seaweed, Romanians.
And the other interesting thing that happened in the debate, apart from the Thelma and Louise style joy of women being fantastic, was the heckler. I mean, that wakened everyone up, I think. I'd kind of lost consciousness slightly. And then a woman just stood up and it was, while Cameron was speaking. Now, she was ushered out, and I don't know if you watched it, there was a slightly sinister sound of a door slamming. As she was removed, but it did kind of, because the audience were very well controlled up to that point.
Yeah, but I have to say, I thought the audience, on the whole, I think if we're going to be really critical about atmosphere, it'd be the audience. They didn't clap once until someone laid into Farage for the HIV comment. That was the first time they clapped. I felt like, as an audience, they were incredibly... I don't know who was doing the warm-up. But they did not do a good job, because that wasn't exciting. Also, I felt like the questions, oh my God, so boring. I wanted one novelty question. At least at the end, someone stand up and say, who do you think is going to take over from Clarkson at the top gear? Just open it up a bit, show these people as humans.
But the first question was from the star of the show, I think, Johnny Tudor.
Yeah, the new William Hague.
Yeah,
that kid's definitely going to go on to be a psychopathic MP, that's for sure. No doubt.
He became quite an internet sensation, Johnny Tudor. Yeah, people were taking pictures of him on the train and stuff, and I think they opened up as these are everyday people, and this wee boy, I'm a politics actually, thanks very much indeed. What do you think of the questions, Mark?
Oh, well, I agree with Holly. I think they should have been a bit more human, shouldn't they? Instead of someone. I mean, how old was he? That's terrible. Being that age, 17. Could all the leaders please say? I mean, what sort of 17-year-old?
Yeah, you want him to.
You want a 17-year-old to ask a 17-year-old question like, "Why are you all wankers?"
17-year-old should have stood up, pulled his trousers down, and said, "Is this normal?" Should have done, really.
Last night, the leaders of the 7 main political parties took part in a live televised debate broadcast on ITV. The debate featured Natalie Bennett, Nick Clegg, Nigel Farage, Ed Miliband, Leanne Wood, Nicola Sturgeon, David Cameron, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree. Each leader was given 1 uninterrupted minute to answer a question posed by a member of the audience without deviation, hesitation or repetition. The debates have been said to herald a new era of politics characterised by decency, common sense and asking women something other than who makes their clothes. That is 2 points to Jeremy, but you know what? In this new era of multi-party politics, 2 points to everybody, I think, for that question, absolutely.
Political question now.
Polly, why is everyone getting down to business?
Oh, this is is this the story about how this week Labour and Conservative Party have become pen pals? Mm-hmm. And they've started writing to each other via national newspapers and various other press outlets. The first letter was written by sort of the Conservative Party, and it was signed by, I think it was 103 different businessmen and women, sort of captains of industry. And they were sort of basically slagging off Labour and saying how great the Tories were. I don't know how you get 103 signatures that quickly of those sort of people. I guess you catch them on their way out of a ritual slaughter from a Illuminati meeting. But they were quite pleased with some of them. I mean, a big proportion of the signatures were either by people who'd been given titles. What's the word? Is that the word? Titles?
Yeah, titles.
Yeah, by Cameron, or who were contributing to the Conservative government. But one of the ones they were most proud of was they got it signed by the main founder of Yo Sushi. And this guy used to be a big Labour supporter, but now he seems to be a big Tory supporter. But I know one thing about Yo Sushi, he'll probably come back round again.
Also, since sushi is one of the main methods for disposing of Russian dissidents, I think it's lost quite a lot of credibility as a healthy snack, hasn't it?
But then Labour wrote a letter back. I think they tried to get it. Well, they definitely sent it to the Guardian. I'm not sure if they published it, but they sort of released it. And they said, why would you want to be supporting a party that was all businessmen? Why, we should be having normal people. And they got a ton of, I think it was like nurses and shelf stackers and people who worked in KFC to sign theirs, people on 0 contracts. So it just became this sort of letter back and forth, which I'm not really sure what we've achieved from all of this, other than sort of say, well, the people who we predicted to be Tory supporters are Tory supporters, and the people who aren't. But that's it.
It's such a weird thing to go for 103, because that definitely means that some people said no. Like, I just think they should just go for a round number and make it look like that's how many you wanted. Do you know what I mean? 103 means we went for 200.
No, they went for 1,000.
Yeah.
There'll be some masters of industry or captains of industry who didn't get asked, and they'll suddenly be really upset that they're not regarded as sort of high-level businessmen.
They left out all the bankers. There were no bankers, hedge fund managers or private equity people. They left them all out. They made it look like people who make things out of balsa wood and stuff like that.
There were a lot of gambling companies on there.
Was there?
Yeah, which I'd say is pretty similar.
If it was a surprise. That's the way the Tories sort of tried to portray this. Is like, well, look at this. This is extraordinary. 103 of the country's wealthiest businessmen have come out in support of a party that was set up by wealthy businessmen and always gives tax cuts to wealthy businessmen and is run by wealthy businessmen. Well, this is marvellous. And of course, they organised the whole thing. George Osborne said this is an unprecedented intervention, but he was part of organising the whole thing. So it must have been a conversation like you'd have in a care home, that, mustn't it? What an unprecedented intervention. Yes, but you organised it, Mr. Osborne. Did I? Well, I must say it's a most unprecedented intervention. Most unexpected. No, Mr. Osborne, you were the one who helped organise it. Did I? That's quite a shock, isn't it? But it's, I don't know, I might as well say 103 of Britain's finest crack dealers are supporting us.
But how did they persuade the Telegraph to publish the letter and to write about it on the front page?
I just think it's not impressive to have a letter and then respond to it with a letter. That's not stepping your game up. I think, like, you should have, like, I don't know, like an interpretive dance with 100 of the business leaders. Do you know what I mean? Or I just don't understand why doing a letter is. You're just doing a letter. How many people are on the Labour letter? Like 104.
Well, they started with 20, but it started adding. And I think one of them was a Blue Peter presenter. There was an ex-Blue Peter presenter.
Oh, wow.
And then loads of people who work for KFC. But
The thing is, it's one of these things that always confuses me. I've never been asked to sign a letter supporting anything. And I've never been asked, an opinion poll. I'm never one of these people that people, like, I always see opinion polls and no one's ever asked me. Am I one of these people that no one wants to ask to do anything? They just look at me. It's like when you walk outside a nightclub, I don't know if this happens, and they fly at everyone else and then they go, not for you.
It's a bit difficult. You get asked to sign a lot of things. Like on Twitter, people are always asking you to sign things. And I once signed something, and about 2 minutes later I thought, do you know what, I don't think I necessarily agree with that. And then I thought, yeah, but no one pays any attention to petitions anyway, do they? So I justified it on that basis. I've said something I don't think, but it doesn't matter because no one cares.
And that's how my mum got deported.
Do you think, though, anyone who's thinking, who should I...
Jeremy Hardy seems to have supported this particular intervention. I'm sorry, Romesh, your mother's going to have to go if even he's signed it.
It wasn't that significant. It was very much to do with biscuits or something.
Business has become the hot topic of the election this week as the Telegraph released a pro-Conservative letter signed by over 100 business leaders. One of the people who signed the letter was the founder of Moonpig, I say. Signed the letter, he got it printed up with a picture of David Cameron's face on Batman's body. Labour released a counter-letter signed by a mix of business leaders, actors, low-paid workers and nurses. It's good to see in what has been dubbed the first truly social media election that the two main parties are still relying on the good old postman. 2 points to Holly. At the end of round one, the scores are Jeremy and Holly have 4 points, but Ramesh and Mark have 6 points. We start round two with a cutting from the Birmingham Mail.
3 men have been charged with a fray after a brawl at a charity boxing match in Wolverhampton. Police were called to investigate reports of punches being thrown at the event.
Our thanks to Ed Horner for sending us that. Ramesh, whose good luck has run out at the ballot box?
It's good luck, Jonathan. The Nigeria elections, in a horrible blow for everyone who likes amusing names. He was defeated in the election by Muhammadu Buhari. And why this is a big deal is because I think it's the first time in however long that the party in power has just peacefully ceded their power. And in fact, good luck, Jonathan. I mean, they're making a big deal about it, and I understand it's great that it's all been done peacefully, and Nigerian people are celebrating and saying this is a wonderful time for Nigerian politics and stuff. But isn't it a massive surprise that good luck, Jonathan wished him good luck? I mean, the clue's in the name, isn't it? If you're in prison and he said, what did Killer Mike do? He killed someone. I mean, that's just part of the package, isn't it? So, but it is a great thing, and it's very exciting. I sort of wish we had a little bit more of sort of not ceding power over here. Like if David Cameron loses the election, and like, you know, if Ed Miliband wins and he turns up and then David goes, I'm not going, mate. What are you going to do about it? Call your mates down? I'm just going to stay. I've just handcuffed myself to the table. Let's see what you got, buddy. Yeah. I just want to see some more of that.
Do you sometimes wish, though, that there would be a little bit more of, not everyone politics, but people talk about Putin stripped to the waist and wrestling a bear and stuff like that. There was points of the debate last night where I just thought, just do it! You know, you just wanted one of them to just, you know.
I would love it if one of them just made a really powerful point and then just dropped the mic like a rap battle. Do you know what I mean?
I would have liked it when the woman heckled, if one of them done a really hack heckle, put down, like, yeah, well, I don't interrupt you when you're at work flipping burgers.
The Paxman thing, which we couldn't talk about because it was when we were recording this show. Some audiences are disappointed to know this show is all recorded. All these shows were recorded in the 1990s and they just spread them out. But Paxman said, I was on the tube the other day, said this to Miliband, and a bloke said to me, if Miliband and Putin walked into a room together, after a few minutes, Putin would walk out and Miliband would be all over the floor. And I thought, well, you can't really condemn a man for not being as good at fighting as a trained KGB killer.
Miliband would just do the death stare, just creep him out.
It's the sex stare.
Putin, oh God, you keep looking into camera now. All right, you have back Ukraine. I can't stop.
The thing is about the point is about kind of this story was that they were expecting something to kick off, and it didn't, which is a positive thing, I think.
But that's amazing. But also, the thing about Buhari is that he is a born-again Democrat, because in the early 80s, he got in on a military coup. He took over.
People like that, though,
U-turn.
don't they? People like redemption. I was doing a benefit, some weird left-wing benefit somewhere in South London years ago, and there were some poets on before me, rap poets, and one of them was a big skinhead, about my age, shaved head and everything, big looking, and somebody whispered to me, oh, do you know, he used to be a Nazi, and everyone was saying, oh yeah, do you know, he used to be a Nazi, wow, he used to, and everyone was really excited, and I thought, well, hang on a minute, I've never been a Nazi. Isn't that actually quite a lot better than having been a Nazi? And this man Buhari, he says, oh, he's, because he used to be a military dictator. And you think, well, isn't it better not to have done that? And he said, I'm a converted Democrat. And you think, no, you're a converted dictator. If you live in what used to be a barn, it's a converted barn. It's not the thing it's now become.
Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan has conceded defeat to opposition rival and new President Buhari, marking the first time in Nigerian history that the ruling party has been deposed democratically. The gruelling election campaign officially started on the 8th of January and ended on 31st of March, with parties spending just 2 weeks actually campaigning and 2.5 months working out whether they should invite the Greens, UKIP and Plaid Cymru to their debates. The election of Buhari over Goodluck Jonathan was met with a mixed response from the West, who were pleased with the deepening of democracy in Nigeria, but disappointed that the new guy had a less amusing name. Buhari promised he would give the nation all of his strength, commitment, sweat and toil. The nation responded saying they would take the strength, commitment and toil, but they were fine for sweat. Thanks very much. 2 points to Ramesh. Mark, if 30% of teachers equals X, then why?
Right, 38%, I suppose, that's the number of teachers. I didn't know it was exactly that, but that must be the number of teachers who leave, it turns out, in the first year of their teaching. They go through all the rigmarole you have to go through to become a teacher, and then they think, oh no, I didn't know there had to be kids involved. And oh no, and they don't want to learn, and we're not allowed to teach them anything particularly interesting. We just have to teach them stuff to get them through the exams and dates. That's the first thing, like history, for example. Dates, which is the least important part of any story, usually dates, isn't it? Like if you tell someone, God, tell you what, I was on holiday once and I tipped out of a boat and ended up having to swim away from a shark. We wouldn't go, yes, but was it August the 9th or October the 11th? It's the least interesting thing, but that's dates. And the first thing you learn about history when you go to school, even when I was 6, the first thing, history, Battle of Hastings. When was the Battle of Hastings? When? And later I come to think, do you know what, I bet even in 1071 people couldn't remember, probably. I bet they go, oh, it can't be 5 years ago already. No, well, it was 1067 when Ken got leprosy, it was. So they get fed up with, I don't know what they get fed up with. They get fed up with everything, and kids chucking blackboard rubbers at them and setting fire to things, whatever they do.
Were you not a teacher, Ramesh? Is that
yeah,
one of your previous
I was a
occupation?
maths teacher, yeah.
Why do you think so many teachers quit within a year of qualifying?
Well, the advertising campaign's ridiculous, isn't it? Like, you watch the advert and there's this guy just walking through going, it's all about inspiring and da-da-da. It's not, mate, it's about putting out fires, and the problem is what my experience was, is that I trained to be a teacher and you're all enthusiastic about it, and then you see the people that have been doing it for years and they look like they're just waiting for death. And it sort of makes you worried that this is what it's going to be for you. Do you know what I mean? And even in like the short time that I was teaching for 6-7 years or something. I was a maths teacher. I wasn't a very good one, but as it turns out, it doesn't matter. Like I managed to sort of stay under the radar. But the problem is that they'd moved the goalpost so much. Your workload, it just went insane. I became like a union rep because I just agreed with strike action, just to have a day off, just have a break, not because I wanted anything changed particularly. And I agree with teacher accountability, I do agree with it. Not for me personally, I think I should just be let loose to do what I want. But generally speaking, I agree with teacher accountability. But they did it to such a degree, it'd have like spot checks all the time, people just swoop in your classroom and see what marking you've done in the last week and stuff like that. And I did, Jedi marking. Which is just, that feels like a B. That apparently is not up to the standards of modern education, apparently. So either you make the job easier or you just make the adverts more realistic, where the guy's just crying.
But that's the same for all advertising. I don't know if you've seen those adverts for those women who eat yoghurt. I've never seen anyone that happy after eating a yoghurt.
That's the ski crystal meth range. When I was a kid, teachers, the one thing that united all teachers, they were all mad. Every single one of them was barking. There were people with bits of shrapnel sticking out their head from the war. If they'd done random drug tests, half of them would have been sacked. I mean, it was people had big personalities, teachers, and you just sat there just in wonder that this person was able to function in the world.
I just remember teachers used to be quite magical, because in the old days when the staff room door opened, the smoke, it was like stars in their eyes.
It's funny you say that, because I always feel that whenever I walk past a strip joint, it's really mysterious and magical. And it's exactly the same feeling as when I was a kid and I used to walk past the school staff room and you were like, what's going on in there?
Yeah. Well, you know what's going on in there.
Both are full of adults whose lives didn't work out as planned.
Thanks, Holly.
The stripping's going really well for you.
I was a huge SWAT at school, and I lived for Parents' Evening. Because that's like the SWAT sports day. But I always wonder why we don't have Parents' Evenings as adults. Because I just think you'd work a lot harder in your job if you knew that once a year you had to sit down with your boss and your mum and dad. About how much you messed around at work.
Do you know what, though? I blagged it every Parents' Evening. Like, half the kids, I couldn't remember what they'd been up to. So I'd always encourage the kid to come with the parent. And then when they sat down, I'd go, well, what do you think I'm going to say? And then take a lead from them. Because they'd normally be pretty honest. I think you're going to be you're very disappointed in the lack of effort. I am. You're absolutely right.
I feel I know what it's like to be a substitute teacher, filling in for an absent authority figure, trying to get an unruly group to order and just not getting the respect that you deserve.
Sandy lets us bring games in at the end of the series.
Almost 40% of new teachers quit within a year of qualifying, according to a speech given at the Association of Teachers and Lecturers annual conference. In her speech, Union General Secretary Dr Mary Bousted questioned why some people completed their teacher training and then did not start teaching immediately. It's your own time you're wasting, she said. Reaction to the speech at the conference was muted because most of the attendees were catching up on their marking at the time. The cost to the taxpayer for training these teachers is estimated to be just under £1 billion. On the upside, with no teachers left, it won't be long before no one knows how much that is. 2 points to Mark. Holly, have a listen to this.
She was so determined to take him right out of my hands. If you're right in love, they can steal you from the very first dance. She was young and pretty, and young and pretty's better than I. We give them all the kisses, now they found another missus because we lost them to a DIY.
Holly, why can't you do it if you B&Q it?
Well, I think this is the news that 1 in 6 B&Qs is due to be shut down. We're sort of past our heyday of DIY as a nation. Apparently, they're shutting them down because we're just not as into doing up our houses as we used to. I mean, I personally, I absolutely love DIY. I think it's genuinely, one of my favourite things. I paint other people's houses. I paint my house. I love doing DIY.
Really?
Yeah, I'm really impressed by anybody who knows. Like the other day, my husband changed a car wheel. It was like a physical renewal of our wedding vows. I was so into it. It was amazing. Yeah.
Are you a fan of DIY, Ramesh? Will you miss B&Q?
No, I want them all shut down. And I'm not saying that, obviously it's sad about the jobs and stuff, but DIY, I hate it. I think it should be made illegal. You know, I hate going to anyone's house that has done DIY in the last year because you know that the first 25 minutes is going to be hearing about what they've done. And then we did this, couldn't care less, mate. Like, can we leave? I would like to... It's like the trailers for a film. When people have done DIY in their house, right? I'm quite keen to miss that part of the evening.
Do you do that though, Holly? Like if Ramesh came round, would you point at a painted wall and
yeah,
go,
of course,
admire it?
Yeah, I'd do all of that. I'd say I knocked this wall down with my bare hands, with my tiny fists. I punched through.
Yeah. I'm on my teammate's side here. Terrible. Shut the lot down.
Yeah.
Terrible. And now, everything's DIY, even if you don't want it to be, just because you go down and buy, say, I'll buy a table, and then they give you a box with a tree in it, and you have to... or a map with where the tree is, and you have to go... And then people who do DIY, and then when they come around your own house, and then, they go to the toilet or something, and the door goes, oh, I tell you what, a little bit of planing on that, a little bit of sanding. Yeah, well, one day, we could just not do that, and it just mildly squeaks.
You know what stop the door doing that? You not being here. So what are you doing?
Exactly.
1 in every 6 B&Q stores in the UK is to be closed down, with 3,000 jobs put at risk. 60 stores across the country will be closed and dismantled, but on the plus side, at least they already have the right tools for the job there. The closures will take place over the next 2 years, which is still quicker than the average UK DIY job. 3,000 jobs are at risk, with 900 workers being told it's curtains for them, and the rest being redeployed in other home refurbishment departments. 2 points to Holly. Ramesh, which cure from back in the day keeps MRSA away?
Well, basically, they found a cure from the Dark Ages to cure MRSA. I don't know how they came up with it. I don't know where in the conversation about where we're going to solve this problem it comes from. It contains, amongst other things, wine, garlic, and bile from a cow's stomach. Oh. And apparently the University of Nottingham, they're having some sort of discussion, and they were saying it's a bit annoying cleaning up these hospitals, isn't it? How are we going to stop MRSA? And he said, well, why don't we just have a look in a book from the Dark Ages? And they found the solution.
Because that's your first thought, isn't it?
Well, that would be my second, to be honest. But I can read out to you the exact receipt. Work an eye salve for a wen. Take crop leek and garlic of both equal quantities. This is for if you want to do this at home. Pound them well together. Take wine and bullock's gall of both equal quantities. Mix with the leek. Put this then into a brazen vessel. Let it stand 9 days in the brass vessel. Wring out through a cloth and clear it well. Put it into a horn. And about night time, apply with a feather to the eye, the best leechdom.
Blimey.
Yeah.
Is a brazen vessel a vessel that's no better than it ought to be?
It does make you wonder how they got to, like, do you try out a load of ingredients and then they're just scratching their heads and just thinking, what can we do? You know what we haven't tried? Bile from a cow's stomach.
I love all this. I used to study medieval art, so there's a lot of pictures.
Did you?
Yeah. One thing I think is, I think it's a shame that we no longer use patron saints as much as we should in modern pharmacy. You know, because back in the day, if you couldn't get your hand on a sort of any bullock's bile or whatever, you would choose the patron saint of whoever it was who affected your particular ailment, and you would pray to them. My favourite one is this Irish monk called St. Fiacre. I don't know how you say it. That is, it could be difficult to say because it's one of those Irish names, so that could be Neil. You know, that's... But, he was a 7th century monk, and he was the patron saint of hemorrhoids, which I always think is one of the... Like, when you find out as a saint what you're going to be the patron of, and they're like, hemorrhoids, and he's like, this is not good. And they're like, at least people will have to kneel to pray to you.
A 1,000-year-old Anglo-Saxon eye remedy has been found to be an effective treatment against the MRSA superbug. The potion is made up of garlic, onion, wine and ox bile and has been called a breakthrough for alternative medicine, as well as a handy way of using up your leftover household ox bile. The remedy was discovered in a 1,200-year-old Anglo-Saxon text in the British Library and is said to be the most exciting find of a book since Fly Fishing by J.R. Hartley. The success of the remedy has led for calls for other medicines to be abandoned in favour of throwing patients in a river to see if they float or drown. 2 points to Ramesh. Before we reveal the final scores, has anyone got a cutting they'd like to share?
This was sent in by Andrew Rowe, and it's from the Northwich Guardian, advertising a new swimming pool and fitness centre. 95 station gym, function training area, over 60 fitness classes, 2 swimming pools, including water.
I've got one. It's on a label for some sort of garment for a child. It says here, 100% polyester, wash inside out, remove child before washing.
It's for Stephen Yolland of Melbourne. This was an Australian website of an Australian radio station. The woman who injected her 8-year-old with Botox for beauty pageants has lost custody of the child. The child didn't look surprised.
This one's from Beryl Wyatt from Welwyn Garden City. It's from the Times. It's from their film section. It says, "Film show. Watch our critics discuss Cinderella and Get Hard."
The scores are Jeremy and Holly have 8 points, but the winners this week are Ramesh and Mark with 10 points. Before we leave you, here's a cutting from the Waitrose website sent in by Dick Jones.
Add a touch of quintessential English charm to your kitchen with this colourful French bowl.
And with that, goodbye.
Taking part in the News Quiz Extra were Jeremy Hardy, Holly Walsh, Ramesh Ranganathan and Mark Steele. In the chair was Susan Kalman and the news was read by me, Kathy Clugston. The chair's script was written by Jack Bernhardt, Max Davis and John Luke Roberts, with additional material by Gabby Hutchinson-Crouch, Craig Ainsley and Ben Harris. The producer was Matt Strong.
We present the News Quiz with your host, Miles Jupp.
Hello, and welcome to the News Quiz. We start with a cutting from the Braintree and Whittam Times, read by Zeb Soanes.
Tony Price has taken over as head chef at the Horse and Groom in Braintree. Our steak and ale pie has gone down the best so far, said Mr. Price. All our regulars are getting wind of it.
Our thanks to Martin Fee for sending that in. Now let's meet the teams. Really welcome first on my right, Susan Kalman and journalist and broadcaster Peter Curran. And opposite them on my left, Lloyd Langford and Zoe Lyons. Susan, who's had a little leak?
Yes, it's a story about the Labour Party, and I don't know, Miles, I'm beginning to think some people in the Labour Party aren't fully behind their leader, and yes, their manifesto was leaked, sparking internal ructions in the party. Yes, the right-wing press have been baying for blood. Yes, a lot of the policies don't apply to the whole of the UK due to devolution. Yes, it seems like it will cost a fortune and no one's priced. And yes, they ran over the foot of a cameraman. But I'm going to be rather controversial, I think, on a Radio 4 programme just now and say, let's just pause for a second about the Labour Party. And I should point out at this point that the manifesto we're talking about isn't an actual manifesto. It's not been confirmed. It's like when I go to the supermarket and write a list saying brown rice, asparagus and chia seeds, and I end up buying Kit Kats and gin. It's very... Some of the policies contained in that manifesto might actually be quite a good idea. If anyone kind of remembers what policies and manifestos are. I mean, it's been fun seeing the press tying themselves up in knots, trying to prove that giving free parking to hospital visitors will actually end up killing orphans and turning everyone into Lenin. It's been a laugh. And the funniest thing for me in the whole thing were the headlines in the newspapers saying Labour are trying to drag us back to the 1970s. Remember that time when people had girl and boy jobs? And I'm suggesting that maybe we give the Labour Party a chance for once.
Gosh, well, that is basically communism. So who do you think leaked it then? I mean, do you think it's necessarily a bad thing?
I have a theory, actually.
Oh, right.
Talk us through it, Lloyd.
I think they gave the date that it was supposed to come out to Diane Abbott.
She's like your friend at the party where you say, "Don't tell anyone." But
She's a bit sort of send all, isn't
Yes.
she? Diane, I don't know if you had a chance to check the CC column before you press send, but this is not just...
going on about us going back to the 70s like it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. I really suit corduroy. And I'm not averse to an old avocado bathroom suite. I could see them come back. And the 70s, remember when young couples in their 20s could actually afford to buy their homes they were living in? That doesn't seem like a bad thing to me, I'm afraid.
But wasn't it strange, though, that the Telegraph and the Mail were screaming, "He's going to take us back to the 1970s"? Like that would put Telegraph and Mail readers off.
Sounds very reassuring.
I mean, as far as the sort of nationalisation of the rail service goes, I live in Brighton, so I've been a Southern Rail survivor for the last year. So I'm all for that. I'll look after the rail service, and I'm pretty incompetent at most things, but I reckon I could do a better job.
I'm not sure that would definitely count as renationalisation. I'm not slagging off. That's essentially like good money after bad. I mean,
I think part of the problem is as well that on the surface it seems like a really sensible manifesto, but Corbyn is such a divisive figure that it puts people off. It's like if Darth Vader offered you a trifle.
But you see, the thing is, I would still take that trifle.
What else would he like to renationalise, or would they like to renationalise?
Power stuff.
Energy, that is, not sort of democracy and stuff like that.
Energy. The Royal Mail wants to lower the voting age to 16.
That's a good one, I think.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I googled it earlier on, right? And did you know at 16
Yes.
you cannot vote, but you can legally sell scrap metal?
Right.
That can't be right. I mean, what sort of a country?
Some of the 16 and 17-year-olds I've met, I don't really think that they really should be voting.
Yeah, but I think the same about pensioners.
Yeah.
Lloyd,
That's
do you
true.
know who listens to this?
I do. I also think with the energy thing, it's not total renationalisation, is it? That in each area there would be a sort of publicly owned energy provider, and I think that does seem sensible. Thing. I currently pay a French publicly owned company for my gas supply. Well, I don't. I mean, the neighbours do. I pay for a length of piping and a hacksaw and a roll of insulator tape. What other policies did Labour have?
They said they would renew Trident, but they wouldn't use it. Which could be a very clever double bluff.
So that I suppose that's good because it'll keep the unions on side, people will still be employed. It just needs to be not armed, doesn't it, Trident? I mean, it's just
a cardboard cutout of one kept somewhere to wheel out every now and
like
again.
they do with those policemen in shops, and they sometimes give me a right fright.
Yes.
There's one in Boots down the road from here, and honestly, I wasn't shoplifting, and...
Yeah, but any other day of the week you could have been. If I was a shoplifter and I saw a cardboard cutout of a policeman, I think I could nick that. Originally, this is the thrilling leak of the Labour Party's eagerly awaited manifesto, providing plenty of advanced spoilers about their plans and giving away the election's exciting plot twist, which is that the Labour Party dies at the end. The leaked manifesto said that any PM should be cautious about using nuclear weapons, as well as announcing a £250 million child health fund and pledging to end loneliness for the elderly. And I think I speak for all of us when I say, you Marxist scum. As well as planned renationalisation of the rail, mail and energy reform, the Labour Party looked to build at least 100,000 houses a year, delighting everyone from foreign property investors to buy-to-let landlords. The Conservatives are yet to release their manifesto, presumably because it takes a long time to get hold of the UKIP one and Tipp-X out all instances of the phrase... You've gone early. And Tipp-X out all instances of the phrase hung, drawn and quartered. 2 points to Susan. Peter, who is at one with the electorate?
Oh, this must be our beloved leader, Prime Minister Theresa May. The Prime Minister and her husband fearlessly submitted themselves to a merciless grilling on the one-show couch. Now, this one-show appearance could have been titled by Conservative Central Office as Intimations of Ordinariness. But it struck me as a bit more like in The Simpsons when Mr. Burns and Smithers use public access TV to try and show that they've got some humanity. It did make me miss Dennis Thatcher, though, seeing them there, you know. Yes, I put the gins out.
I found it, I have to say, an extraordinary watch. And I've seen the first 8 minutes, and then I just had to stop. Just offensive levels of inanity. But at the same time, an excellent use of the licence fee.
The more natural she tried to look, the more you could just sort of see wires popping out of her neck. And, you know, boy jobs, girl jobs, boy jobs, girl jobs. You know, we like to eat it at our dinner table, which we bought because of its strength and stability.
It was a truly that part of the interview where they were talking about girl jobs and boy jobs was one of the most horrific things I have ever seen in my life. I think that was not a positive part to try and say that in 2017 there are still things like girl jobs and boy jobs. I think there's only one job a boy can do that a girl can't, and even then I have a turkey baster.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
It was quite strange, the way they related to each other. It's almost like they'd found a book that was slightly out of date of human behaviour and customs, and had frankly learned it off backstage, and then gave a good account of themselves for people from another planet.
It was like...
There's just always the feeling that like something's not quite right. Like when she was eating the chips with the coffee.
That's why I wasn't surprised when she came out in complete favour of fox hunting. I went, yeah.
I just don't know if it's a bet to see what the most extreme thing that Theresa May can bring back is. You know, I don't know whether the next policy announcement will be to bring back, I don't know, the black and white minstrel show and rickets.
It's that curious combination of her saying, it's like she's trying to please everyone. So she's like, we're going to cap energy bills, but we're going to bring back fox hunting. It's like, we're going to reintroduce the death penalty, but there should be more recycling.
What a legacy for poor Ed Miliband. You know, David Cameron took much from Blair, and poor Ed just gets his energy policy stolen by Theresa May.
Yeah. Well, Labour also have plans to copy Ed Miliband by losing the general election. I found, honestly, watching Matt Baker, he's like quite a friendly up guy, isn't he? But even he struggled to look even vaguely interested. I mean, if you think of it, and I mean this as a fan, the sort of detritus he must have had to sit through on that show and sort of nod along enthusiastically. And even he, after some of the answers the Mays gave, would go,
yeah, I was on it last week, Miles.
You were on it last week, were you?
I was on it last week with Orlando Bloom.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't know you two were an item.
Yeah. It was very much the same sexual chemistry as Theresa May and her husband.
Perspicaciously, this is another week in the life of Theresa May, who, amongst other things, found time to appear alongside her husband on The One Show, where nothing of any interest whatsoever happened, maintaining a proud 11-year history. The Prime Minister's appearance prompted the almost inconceivable scenario of One Show viewers pining for the arrival of a Giles Brandreth report on the correct way to layer a scone. Theresa May also revealed this week that she favours the return of fox hunting. The news was met with dismay from animal rights activists, but provided much-needed hope for the UK's declining bugle industry. Feast after a long famine. Also this week it was announced that the CPS will make no charges over Conservative Party overspending. The CPS investigation related to the funding of the Conservative Party battle bus during the last election. The battle bus dispatched additional campaigners to marginal seats, spilling out young Conservatives on the unsuspecting local population like a sort of bell-end Trojan horse. 2 points to Peter. Lloyd, who no longer spies for the FBI?
This is the story that President Donald Trump has recently fired the FBI Director James Comey. He's only the second FBI director in history to be fired. The first was a gentleman named William Sessions, who was fired by Bill Clinton. And amongst other things, one of the things Sessions did was bill the FBI for a $10,000 fence that he installed around his home. So if Trump is looking for a replacement, then I feel they see eye to eye in regards to ridiculous walls. The people he's fired so far include Sally Yates, Mike Flynn and Angela Reid, who I thought were the cast of Coronation Street. Vladimir Putin's immediate reaction was to say that he wasn't involved, which, if my experience of playground farting has taught me anything, indicates that he definitely was. He who denied it supplied it. He actually said that he fired him because of his mishandling of the Hillary Clinton email debacle. Trump hasn't been this angry at an email since that Nigerian prince refused to get back to him. Or since he bought those special tablets online and they didn't add 3 extra inches. He still has very small hands.
But you know, I made a series for Radio 4 that just went out recently, and I was over in the States. And one of the things when you got below the political class and spoke to people was that to us, Trump might be a ridiculous figure, but his self-delusion and self-obsession is the sort of thing ordinary Americans can really relate to. In all seriousness, that power and the fact that he's managed to get where he is a beacon for millions.
How did Comey discover about his sacking?
He was delivering a talk to FBI members in Los Angeles, and there was a television on in the background, and he saw it as a news flash going across the bottom, and apparently laughed and went, "Hey, somebody's having a practical joke here, guys," and then realised it was true, and then the letter followed. You think that is, I mean, there's being dumped by text, but seeing it on a national news network.
Why was he fired, really, does anyone think?
The timing is crucial because they had the Sally Yates hearings about her resigning, being fired as the Attorney General, and she gave some very damning testimony about what the Trump administration knew about the Russian interference. And, I mean, Comey was praised for his handling of the Clinton emails by Trump because it essentially was part of what won him the presidency. But apparently Comey asked for extra money to investigate further the links in the campaign, and so the timing is suspicious because the President of the United States, when he finds out that the Director of the FBI is investigating him about his links with Russia, just fires him. Just an extraordinary thing.
You don't think it's just a series of unfortunate coincidences? Bodaciously, these are the latest happenings in that screaming Edvard Munch painting made constitutional flesh that is the Trump administration. This week, FBI Director James Comey was fired by Donald Trump, who claimed that Comey had lost the public's trust over the Clinton email investigation. The sacking has been compared to President Nixon's Saturday Night Massacre, an event which, with a few format tweaks, became the model for Ant and Dec's, to some extent, more successful takeaways. Shortly after firing Comey, Trump met with Russian Ambassador Sergei Lavrov, which is comforting news. About as comforting as discovering Vladimir Putin's run you a bubble bath and told you not to worry about the strange smell. Some say all this could result in a constitutional crisis for the US, but the ongoing existence of Donald Trump is basically like the ongoing existence of BBC Radio 4's Saturday Live. If the public is willing for these atrocities to continue, there's very little rational people can do to prevent the suffering. 2 points to Lloyd. And at the end of round one, the all-important scores are Susan and Peter have 4, and so too do Lloyd and Zoe. We start round 2 with a sign spotted above the sinks in a workplace bathroom.
These sinks are for washing your hands only. Please do not use them to clean your lunch boxes.
Our thanks to Ross Fleming for sending us that. Zoe, qui est le nouveau président?
This is what was the French presidential elections that were won by Emmanuel Macron, or Macaroon, as I called him for the first few weeks. I thought, how French is that? He's even named after a pastry. That's amazing. It's Emmanuel Macron who's kicked Marine Le Pen into touch for the time being. So he's become the youngest president in French history at the age of 39. Immediately making everybody of the age of 39 or older feel incredibly inadequate as a human being if you're not running your own country. He set up his own party it was only last April, En Marche, so he's gone from setting up his own party to being president of France within a 12-month period, which is an incredible turnaround. He is a doer. I mean, I said I was going to repaint my kitchen about the same time last April, and it's still not been done. It opens up a load of questions as well, re-Brexit, because he's very pro-Europe. He loves it. He loves it so much, he lives there. And we've had the French elections now, the Dutch elections, the Austrian elections at the end of last year, and all of them have gone pro-Europe and anti-nationalist. And it's kind of left Britain out in the cold, where we're sort of like, guys, I thought we were all going to leave. You said you were going to leave. I thought, now I look like an arse.
I think it's amazing that he won, given that the same group of hackers that were involved in destabilising the Clinton campaign in the States were involved in releasing his campaign's entire stock of emails, 5 mailboxes stolen when all campaigning was supposed to have stopped.
They seem to be enjoying it. It's like a hobby, the Russians.
I bet they win Eurovision this year, even though they're not even in it.
Yeah. I think they'll let us back in Eurovision, even if we're not in Europe and we've told them all to bugger off.
Well, they let Australia in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but people like Australia.
I still think it's impressive, though, because at the moment there's 577 constituencies in France, and he's only got 450 candidates. But if there's anyone I'm going to trust to be able to sweet talk people into standing, it's the guy that convinced his drama teacher to leave her husband and her kids for him.
Sorry, am I the only person here willing to say that I really fancied a lot of my teachers and I would have quite liked this to have been my life?
Yes, but
I fancied lots of my teachers.
If you had entered into a relationship with one of your teachers,
yes,
they would now be in jail rather than be the Prime Minister.
Persiflagically, this is the result of the French presidential election, where the centrist Emmanuel Macron saw off the far-right candidate Marine Le Pen. Macron now faces parliamentary elections with his party République En Marche, which, if my schoolboy French hasn't let me down, translates as people of the swamp. The election of Macron could upset Brexit negotiations, given that he has previously described Brexit as a crime, although if we can argue we committed it as a crime of passion, then under French law we can get off scot-free. Macron's victory followed an exhausting campaign, where at least he was never forced to sit on a pastel-coloured sofa and be asked, Monsieur Macron, est-ce que le travail pour les garçons et que le travail pour les filles? by a Monsieur Mathieu Boulanger. 2 points to Zoe. Susan, have a listen to this. Well, welcome back, everybody. Susan, who says we should all stop bottling it?
This starts off as a story essentially about recycling, but actually turns into a story of the psyche of the British nation and how strange and lacking in confidence we are at very basic tasks in life. There was a survey done basically to help get rid of plastic bottles. It's what it is. There's so many plastic bottles in the world. Eventually there'll be so many plastic bottles, no one will be able to move. I'm paraphrasing. And what they're trying to encourage people to do is to get water from cafes and restaurants. So they're trying to get a law passed whereby cafes and restaurants have to give you water if you ask for it. To me, the interesting part of the whole survey was less about that. We all agree, recycling, fine, get rid of plastic, fine. Is that 71% of people don't have the confidence to walk into a premises and ask for a glass of... What hope do we have in the Brexit negotiation? When people can't go into a shop and ask for to refill, even a glass of water. Can you refill up my bottle, please? Oh no, please take our rights and liberties and all our money. It's an extraordinary thing. Absolutely, I would feel embarrassed. I'm being honest. If I was walking down the street in London and I've run out of water and I go into a cafe or restaurant and I say, can you fill my bottle? I wouldn't do that. In the same way as I don't like using facilities in a toilet capacity.
Oh, I have no problem doing that.
Do you just walk in?
Yeah. You've got to do it with confidence. Just don't get any eye contact. Yeah. They know why you're there. You know why you're there. Then you sort of pass on the guilt that they can't ask you what you're there for, and you just eyeball it straight to the loo.
It's especially counterproductive if you go into a pub and they're like, oh, you can only use the toilet if you're a customer.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I'm trying to get rid of fluids rather than take them on.
Do you not do when you walk into a pub, don't bother asking, Lloyd, just kind of put that sort of distant stare on, smile as if you've recognised someone vaguely in the location of the toilet, and just head off waving?
I think that looks far more suspicious. If I walk towards the toilet smiling and waving.
Just on my way to meet a friend.
As you know, I'm quite obsessed by toilets. I keep
Keep one with you at all times.
No. I have an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, of course it's Christmas suitcase. It's a big old chemical toilet, Susan.
I have an Excel spreadsheet of toilets I've been to.
That's also very useful if there's no paper in the toilet.
See which ones are the good ones, and then when you go back, you know which ones to go to, because there's some aren't good and some are really exceptional.
Oh yeah, it's sort of like
that's a hell of an itinerary to plan.
Yes.
You should go online. You should have a sort of lavatory TripAdvisor. What marvellous reviews this place. Apparently incredibly comfortable. It's got aloe vera quilted toilet paper. It's got
The thing is, I've got a really, I'll be really honest with you, I've got a really sensitive gag reflex, right? It's not why I'm a lesbian, but it helps. And
I have as well, and I found out when I was waving as I was walking towards the toilet.
So, plastic bottles, that's what this is all about. Does anybody have anything to say, relatively concise, that would be suitable for the final edit of this programme that is about plastic bottles? Not necessarily about using public lavatories.
Look, that's like slightly denigrate. The point was that we all agree that we should have less plastic bottles. I'm suggesting that the British public don't have the confidence, even if it was passed by law, to do this. So I think you'll find, Miles, that my point was related very deeply to... I mean, we got a bit off topic with the spreadsheet, but initially it was very much on topic. I mean, all of this made perfect sense.
Oh, I can see how we got where we got, Susan.
I think plastic bottles and the proliferation of them makes life slightly trickier, because like when I was a kid, I could put a message in a bottle and throw it in the sea and hope that it would like travel anywhere in the world. Whereas now, if you do it, there's so many bottles, it's likely to like choke a whale to death. And then when they do the autopsy, they find the name and address of the killer.
Sempiternally, this is the news that Keep Britain Tidy are encouraging us to buy fewer plastic bottles of water in order to reduce waste. Britons use 7 million plastic bottles a year, and tragically less than half of these are used for their intended purpose of being filled with urine and then flung out of the cab of a moving lorry at a dogger. You see, on topic, Susan. The sea is apparently increasingly full of plastic bottles, but what's wrong with that? It does at least raise the tantalising prospect that we will one day be able to walk to France across an Evian causeway. Pubs, restaurants and theatres are legally obliged to provide free tap water on request, and there are plenty more things like this that we don't know about. For example, it's your legal right to go into Curry's and demand a kiss from the manager. Do tell them I sent you. The last time I asked for water at my local cafe, they were decidedly sniffing about it. Not only did they refuse, they also asked me to take my foot spa off the counter. Anyway, you have to be ready to make the most of every opportunity for free water, which is why I, for one, always take a straw to a baptism. 2 points to Susan. Lloyd, who won't bend to parish pressure?
This is St David's Church in Blaenporth, Ceredigion. They have decided to ban yoga from the church community centre because they say it is non-Christian. So the church says yoga is out, but Pilates is okay, which confused me because I thought it was Pontius Pilates ordered the crucifixion of our Lord. And I'm not really sure at all about CrossFit. So there is a parochial church council, which sounds like something from Father Ted, and the spokesman said it is felt that activities that might be seen to be in conflict with Christian values and belief would not be appropriate. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's like
Tai Chi, Taekwondo, or cash prize bingo.
It's like if a Muslim community centre forbid people from stretching their hamstrings.
Do you think this is reasonable behaviour, Zoe?
No, not really. I mean, nobody really goes... I mean, well, it's just a bit of bending, isn't it? I mean, I've attempted yoga, and enlightenment wasn't on my mind. In fact, when we were lying there and she went, just lie there and try and find peace of mind. And I thought she said pizza mind. And then all I could think of for half an hour was pizza. So it wasn't really a religious experience, more gastronomic for me. But
my wife goes to yoga and she says the most kind of profound statement at the start is, please don't be embarrassed if you break wind during some of the moves.
Break wind, break bread, what's the difference?
That is beautiful.
It is.
That is beautiful.
I don't suppose this church allows champing, do they?
What, that's mashed potato?
I stepped out from racial stereotypes because I realised...
Finally, the real Peter Curran.
Yeah, exactly. I realised looking at the Church Conservation Trust website that champing is the new big thing. It means that you can camp inside a church.
Oh, no.
How do you get the tent pegs in?
Yeah.
Metonymically, this is the news that a church in Wales has banned yoga from its premises on the grounds that it is unchristian, although you get to exercise in the course of Christianity. Anyway, if you think about the number of times you stand up, sit and kneel down in the course of an average Eucharist, it's basically Zumba set to organ music. Christianity has been known to change its mind about what's acceptable and what isn't. You never know, this whole thing could end up being foreskins all over again. Anyway, they're much more laissez-faire at my local church. They allow yoga, bingo, even the weekly sacrificing of virgins to appease the goat god Pan. Basically anything goes as long as you remember to mop up after yourself. 2 points to Lloyd. Zoe, have a listen to this.
Lots of Radio 4 listeners have just died.
Zoe, where have there been some shifting sands?
This is on a beach called Dua Beach on the west coast of Ireland. And 33 years ago, there was a massive storm and it took all their sand away. And it's come back. It's a miracle. It's been reported all over the place. It's been in the States, Saudi Arabia. They know a good sand story when they hear one. So they were straight on this. And the sand seems to have come back en masse, like not one at a time, which I think would have been less dramatic and taken a considerable amount of time. It's come back en masse, which proves that even sand has grasped the idea that you can do things better together. And it's resulted in a huge influx of tourists there to see the returning sands. They've been turning up in their tens.
I think it's much more popular than 10 a year, Zoe, and it's now been renamed the Wild Atlantic Way, or as it was known when I was a kid, the terrifyingly gusty, cold, rain-lashed stay-in-your-car way.
One of the first things I learned as a child was to put up a windbreak. It's one of the first things you're taught if you holiday in Scotland is to efficiently put a windbreak up to prevent the force 10 gale from spoiling what is otherwise a very happy family holiday. And then you paddle in the North Sea, and if you don't smile for the photographs, then you're ungrateful.
You can lose a lot of your dermis as well, can't you, in a sort of windy, sandy beach in Scotland or Ireland? You can just literally lose inches of skin from yourself. It's a very brutal exfoliation. It really is.
It does sound like also the sort of thing, when the beach disappeared, it was the sand that disappeared, not the land underneath it. It does sound like the sort of thing that you could just go down to sort of Travis Perkins and buy a lot of sand, and in the night just empty it out, and there you go, oh, look who's back.
You could do it in a sort of Great Escape style and just let a bit up your trousers.
That's why it's taken them 30 years. I think it's lovely. It sounds like a fairy tale. I think it's a beautiful story.
It's a great story, because you just think about it like sex on the beach now is going to be a lot easier. No, because, 6 months ago you misjudged the gradient and you end up mingling with a shingle.
Get your rocks off would mean something totally different.
Botanically, this is the news that a beach in Ireland has suddenly reappeared after it vanished in a storm in 1984. Of course, every action has an equal and opposite reaction, meaning the coast of Cannes is now a barren wasteland strewn with empty bottles and corpses. The beach returned after 33 years, along with the sea anemone, with a twinkle in its eye and many a tale to tell. The local cocktail bar has adjusted its menu to now serve sex on the beach, as opposed to the previous local favourite, sex on a pile of mud and rocks. 2 points to Zoe. Peter, who got airline passengers in a flap?
Oh, this was a story this week. British Airways had a flight that was due to take off from Heathrow for the US, and it had to be cancelled when a bird was found flapping around inside the cockpit. The efforts to remove the black bird over several hours culminated in airport ground staff using a recording of birds in distress in an attempt to scare it away. The BA spokesman said, "When it comes to flying, we're the experts, so it's not surprising this bird wanted to hitch a ride on one of our 12 daily flights to New York."
The thing I enjoy most about the story is playing the sound of birds in distress. I think that's how...
It was a recording of agitated birdsong called Starlings in Distress, which British Airways describe as just one of a hand-picked range of in-flight entertainment.
Blackbird on a Plane does sound like a terrible remake of Snakes on a Plane, though, doesn't it? Low budget, low horror.
Get these ruddy blackbirds off my ruddy plane.
Just Samuel L. Jackson for 90 minutes with some trill.
We had a bird flew into our flat, and we were 3 stories. They got in, and we had to try and catch it whilst restraining 5 cats. I fashioned a net to try and get it out of the flat.
Wow, like a sort of Satsuma bag.
It was a plastic bag on a mop.
It sounds like the end of the Crystal Maze.
Well done, you've collected 6 starlings. Crepuscularly, this is the news that a BA flight from Heathrow to Newark was grounded after a blackbird flew into the face of a pilot and could then not be removed from the cockpit. Passengers suspected that the bird would cause trouble when they spotted it downing its 8th pint of Boddingtons in the departure lounge, having consumed nothing but an egg McMuffin to soak up the poison. The real tragedy of the story is the family waiting for him in arrivals at the other end. Their little beaks still open expectantly, waiting for the sliding doors to open and reveal a blackbird carrying a giant Toblerone. And, of course, through all this drama, the alligator in the overhead locker slept on undisturbed. 2 points to Peter. Before we reveal the final scores, has anybody got a cutting they'd like to share? Susan.
This was spotted in the Daily Telegraph by Margaret Denslow. Photographs of Ed Miliband helping a constituent cut her grass during the local election campaign were staged, an angry voter has claimed. Images showed Mr Miliband pushing the lawnmower, but the woman he assisted claims she had to help him start the machine and that she had originally believed that he was a Jehovah's Witness.
Peter.
This is a nice one from Jessamine Braithwaite, who saw this typo in the Daily Mail after the French election results were announced. Projections showed Le Pen took 34.5% of the vote, while a record-breaking 4.2 million voters soiled their ballot.
Lloyd.
Steve Rees in Didcot saw this product review on petplanet.co.uk. It's for a ramp to help dogs get into the back of cars. Great ramp, excellent value and build quality. Only problem is that it's a little bit steep for the dog to get up, so I had to cut 2 inches off the legs.
Zoe.
This was seen on an East Devon Airbnb listing by a listener called T. McKenney, and it says, "The gardens and orchard are there for your enjoyment, as are our friendly sheep."
Thank you, and now let's take a look at the final score. Lloyd and Zoe have 8, but this week's winners are Susan and Peter with 9. Before we leave you, here's an advert in a magazine called Chichester Wellbeing, sent in by Michael Reynolds.
The Well Balanced programme helps Chichester residents aged 65 and over to reduce their risk of falling. The 16-week course is aimed at people who feel unsteady on their feet. It is a rolling programme, so you can join at any time.
And with that, goodbye.
Taking part in the news quiz were Susan Carman, Peter Curran, Lloyd Langford and Zoe Lyons. In the chair was Miles Jupp and the news was read by me, Zeb Soames. The chair script was written by Madeline Brettingham, James Kettle and Tom Neenan, with additional material by Stuart Mitchell and Jenny Laville. The producer was Richard Morris and it was a BBC Studios production.
We present the news quiz with your host, Nish Kumar.
Hello and welcome to the news quiz. We start with an announcement scene in the Yoxmere Fisherman Parish magazine, read by Susan Ray.
Animal service, 11 a.m. Everyone welcome, even without a pet. When the service is over, there'll be a barbecue.
Oh, thanks to Ruth Whittaker for sending that in. Now, let's meet the teams. Will you welcome first, on my right, Hugo Rifkind and Rosie Jones? And opposite them on my left, Ayesha and Rachel Paris. Hugo. To Flyby or not to Flyby? That is the question. So, what is the answer?
Well, to fly. We are still going to be flying Flyby if we want to. Flyby is the airline. It's one of those sort of smallish airlines with smallish planes that people largely use to get away from bits of Britain they regret living in. And it's a British institution, but it's not in the top tier of British institutions. It's kind of in the B team, the Flyby team, like Flyby, Melby, Sizewell B, Archbishop Justin Welby, down there. And this week it ran out of money. And it had a problem. They thought it might have to shut down. And the reason it ran out of money, they say, is because of APD, air passenger duty, which is like this tax that the government puts on airlines and flight tickets to cut carbon emissions by discouraging people from flying. Now, a problem, it now turns out, with discouraging people from flying, is that fewer people fly. And that means the airlines they would fly with, it's just complicated, but bear with me. The airlines that they would fly with don't have as many people on them. So they haven't got enough money. So now they're saying to the government, you need to loan us some money, and they might be doing that. And they're also saying you need to let us pay this air passenger duty late, or feasibly not at all. It's a bit unclear. So now all the other airlines are saying, well, look, if they don't have to pay APD, we don't want to either, because if one airline gets this, all airlines should get equal treatment, which is unreasonable, because all airline passengers certainly don't get equal treatment. On some airlines, you get cushions and warm meals and toilets. And on Ryanair, you get plastic chairs and an overpriced Kit Kat, and you have to poo in a cup. So that doesn't seem fair, but that's the argument. And the government is liable to buckle because it sort of wants to deny the clear and obvious conflict between environmentalism and doing exactly what you want on an aeroplane, as Boris Johnson often has in the toilets, with stewardesses, I assume, Your Honour, is the story.
For issues of BBC Balance, Boris Johnson has also done a lot of land-based banging.
Don't get us started on the high seas.
Oh, the man is a buccaneer. Ahir, what's your take on all of this?
As far as I understand it, Flybe is an airline who are owned 30% by Virgin Atlantic, who in turn are owned 49% by Delta, who are the second largest airline in the world and one of the most profitable. They're 30% owned by Stobart Aviation and 40% owned by an investment fund based in Luxembourg, and they're all skin. Which apparently we're expected to believe.
Rachel, what's your take on this?
I speak for everyone in the room in saying that, you know, we all pay our taxes, not you. We all pay our taxes. We all have a say on how they should be spent. And I can't think of a better way than supplementing the income of Richard Branson. That is what I've always wanted.
Yes, it is owned, part owned by the Virgin Group, which coincidentally was the nickname my circle of friends had at university. Hugo, there's an environmental issue, but also it doesn't set a great... I mean, what's the precedent that this sets in terms of governments bailing out struggling businesses?
Look, the reason why they're doing it is partly because they don't want because it looks bad when businesses go bust and they want everything to be rosy for Brexit. But it's also because basically they struggle to grasp that places are real and exist if they're not like London. And London has an airport, and so you have to go out to these places and make them more like London. And so if you say the airport might close in Newquay or Southampton, they're like, well, that's going to make it less like London. That'll be bad. Also, how will you get there if you have a holiday home? It's a nightmare. The reason why it's controversial is like there are rules in the EU, state aid rules. You're not allowed to give an unfair advantage to a business from public funds because that gives it an unfair advantage over other businesses. And so BA now, and I think Ryanair, are both complaining to the EU about this. To which you can only say, you've got to work pretty fast there, guys. You've got a fortnight, right?
Yeah. Rosie, what do you reckon?
So, I don't know why the government want to bail them out, because their main flight had to Newquay. Who wants to go there? I say destroy them all.
Just to be clear, by them all, do you mean the airline?
Firstly, destroy the airline. Secondly, destroy all the roads in and out of Newquay.
What happened to you in Newquay?
Oh, you do not want to know.
Charles, what do you reckon about this as a precedent?
Well, I think that it sets a very odd precedent because the airline has to collect air passenger duty when you buy the ticket, right?
Yeah.
That's factored into the cost of your ticket. And then they're just essentially saying to the government, oh, yeah, sorry, we spent all of that. I'm like, can I do that? I'm not allowed to do that, right? Like, at the end of the month, I have to do my self-assessment, and I can't just say to the government, soz, went Ibiza. Partly because in my voice it sounds entirely unbelievable. I can't do that. Look, these are people who are allowed to treat taxation as optional and spew noxious gases into the environment with abandon, and I have to fill out my self-assessment and got told off for farting in bed last night. Unreasonable.
I'm still reeling from hearing you say the phrase "went Ibiza." It's like watching a cat play piano. Yes, this is the news that troubled regional airline Flybe has been saved after the ministers agreed a multi-million-pound rescue deal. I'm personally against domestic flights, not for environmental reasons, but because they don't give you enough time to smash through the bottle of Jim Beam you ambitiously bought at duty-free. Stories like this, though, ultimately really make me miss Chris Grayling. If he was still Transport Secretary, by now he would have sold Flybe to ISIS. 2 points to Hugo! Rosie, how many bongs does Big Ben bong if a Big Ben won't Big Bong?
Well done for giving the tongue twister story to the one with Sarah. Okay, strap in. Basically, Boris had a big plan to make Big Ben bong for Brexit. And he was like, yeah, we can do that. We can sort that out. And then he went, oh, no. Because at the moment they were stopping the clock. So if they wanted to make Big Ben bong, it will cost shitloads. My favourite part of the story is their plan B for the Big Ben Brexit bong was to do a crowdfunder to get all the money, and when I last checked, they had raised a total of £500, which is less than 1% what they need. So, sadly, we won't hear Big Ben bong to signify doomsday.
The Prime Minister told BBC Breakfast that he was working on a plan so people can bung a bob for a Big Ben bong, and I'm concerned that this is how he's going to announce every new governmental policy. Boris Johnson urges the public to fling a florin to flout the Flybe flop. Hugo, is this a bold new dawn for alliteration-based, nonsensical governmental policy?
Yes, I don't know. Look, I think we all know that Brexit just isn't Brexit without some massive bell in Parliament Square making it possible. There will be a few. There's going to be a demo. The Brexiters are putting on a demo. They claim that there's going to be 20,000 people in Parliament Square, but there won't be really. I mean, the anti-Brexit demos are some of the biggest demos this country's ever seen. And all the pro-Brexit ones always end up just being like 12 blokes called Keith walking along a motorway. So I think this one's going to be very different. But their latest plan, because they can't ring the bell, Mark Francois is threatening to climb up there and hit it with a hammer, I think. And that is very plausible, but probably won't happen. So their latest plan is to just play the sound of a bell through loudspeakers, which is the same sort of facsimile of of sense that this whole process it just sort of encapsulates everything, really. But I think if they're going to do that, they could just save time, money, and a lot of good feeling by, if they're just going to be playing it through loudspeakers anyway, they could just all get headphones and make it like a silent disco. And as far as I'm concerned, that would be fine.
Rachel, do you think that Brexit should be bonged into existence?
It does seem a lot of money. Like, yeah, 50 grand for a bong. And I would prefer to celebrate Brexit the other traditional British way, which is the way the Queen celebrates a birthday, by the slow, silent and unannounced raising of a solitary flag.
Here. There's nothing intrinsically Brexit about a largely symbolic action that's not properly costed and isn't actually going to happen properly anyway, is there?
I think, look, the election happened, there's a majority, I get that we're going to leave, fine.
You seem so enthusiastic about it.
Don't be, like, lame about it, you know what I mean? Like, the Bell thing is so... It is genuinely embarrassing, Nish, that our ancestors were conquered by a ruling class this crap. You read the front pages about this bloody clock, and it is actively difficult to believe that this island once effectively ruled the world with an iron fist. Look, I, in my own life, have sought to internalise the British state's policy of managed decline in every element, and I really hope I'm still a long way away from the crowdfund a clock to go bong state. It's genuinely pathetic. Do you know, I have a living grandparent who was literally born a subject of the British Empire with effectively no rights as a consequence, and it's now like, chuck me a £5 for the clock to go bong.
Yes, this is the news that Big Ben will not bring out as Britain officially leaves the EU later this month, despite Boris Johnson saying that the public could crowdfund the money to make it happen. Daily Express dedicated a front page to the story, declaring Big Ben must bong for Brexit, alongside a huge picture of Big Ben, as if the clock is refusing to do it. Ben is behaving worse than the spoilt brat Meghan. See pages 2 to 17. 2 points to Rosie Jones. Okay, here. Who's made a speech to obscure the impeach?
Right, yes, okay. Now, there has been a lot of news, as per, regarding Donald Trump, who, as you are aware, is the President of the United States and an obvious criminal. So, Donald Trump has been impeached by the House of Representatives for the scandal involving a quid pro quo with his Ukrainian counterpart in terms of digging up dirt on the son of his rival, Joe Biden. And so that's now moving on to the Senate, who he's going to be tried in front of. And so, naturally, he has gone to Milwaukee to do a rally in which he criticizes energy-efficient light bulbs and dishwashers.
Now, walk us through this here, because I'm not sure if people have seen this speech.
Basically, it's pretty much what it says. He stands in front of a large crowd and complains about how bad energy-efficient light bulbs are and the fact that you have to press a dishwasher button multiple times now to wash your dishes properly. But quite frankly, look, whenever I've got loads of important stuff on, I also tend to spend a lot of time fussing over the dishwasher. Who doesn't do that, right? It's like, who hasn't been in the situation, it's like, here, isn't your deadline at 5 p.m? Yes, but are these radiators going to bleed themselves? No.
Hugo, the impeachment trial that's come to the Senate,
yeah.
I mean, that's not going anywhere, is it?
Well, no, it's difficult because they've got to isolate something that he's done wrong, and they think they've done that. But the basic problem isn't the things that he's done. The basic problem is that he's an absolute nightmare in every way. And so it's kind of like, it's like if you go and see your doctor, and your doctor is a Labrador, and you're like, well, this obviously won't do. And like the person in charge of the doctor's surgery is like, sorry, can you tell me something that he's actually done wrong? And you're like, well, no, just, you're like, the general situation is just preposterous, and everyone knows it.
Rosie, what do you think?
I just can't believe that they're trying to pin him down on this crime business, because to me this is a tip of a very problematic iceberg, like compared to everything is done, this is actually nothing. It's a bit like arresting the great ones for fly tip.
Don't know if we said this already, that he said in complaining about those light bulbs, he said that they made him look orange. Genuinely said that. It's a bit like Richard Osman in complaining that the camera makes him look tall.
He also said, when he was talking about the showers, he needs a lot of water because he has beautiful hair. You're like, listen, mate, just take it off and pop it in the washing machine. This is the news that on the day impeachment papers were delivered to the Senate, President Donald Trump gave a speech in which he vowed to fix the problem of water restriction, detailing his own traumatic personal experience of struggling with dishwashers, taps and showers. Donald Trump complained that he has to flush a toilet 10 to 15 times before the shredded Ukrainian memo goes down. Trump boasted, "I'm approving dishwashers that give you more water so you can wash your dishes without having to do it 10 times. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So he can get to 10, but only because he started at 4. In no way a metaphor for his whole life. 2 points to Ahir Shah! And for a bonus point, who wouldn't give Warren peace?
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, they had a big fight because she says that he said a woman could never be president.
Yeah.
And he says that he didn't say that. He just thinks that particular woman lacks some attributes that he has that makes him better suited to be president, such as a penis. I'm paraphrasing. That's roughly how it went down.
Yeah, it's. Rachel, did you watch the Democratic debate?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the extent to which all of the frontrunners looked like the cast of Last of the Summer Wine. By which I mean superb.
I found the Democratic primary extraordinarily confusing because you began with 29 people in the running, and they've now managed to whittle it down to around dozen. It struck me as being really like trying to choose what restaurant to go to with friends, you know, like there's too many options to begin with, so you try and narrow it down, but all that does is end up creating loads of infighting and passive aggression, and eventually you end up somewhere that no one's really happy with, but that all of you have decided would sort of do, and the next thing you know, Donald Trump is president of the United States, even though most people voted for Nando's.
Jones, who's your vote for the Democratic ticket?
Who I feel sorry for in this whole handshake business.
Yeah.
It's a businessman, Tom Steyer, because he tried to get in between the two, and he just looked so cute. Yeah. He looked like a frightened child whose parents were arguing. It's like, Mummy, Daddy, just don't argue anymore. Someone get me some nuggets.
One really weird piece of information about him, and that is he draws a symbol of 5 crosses on his hand to remind him to tell the truth. And there is nothing more trustworthy than a man who needs a physical reminder to tell the truth. Yes, this is the news that Elizabeth Warren refused to shake Bernie Sanders' hand during the final Democratic presidential debate after she claimed Sanders said a woman can't win the US election. Sanders found himself under pressure from moderator Abby Phillip, but the biggest challenge of the night was faced by Joe Biden, who had to try not to hug anyone for 2 full hours. Bonus points to Hugo! And at the end of round 1, the scores are Hugo and Rosie with 5 points. Woo. And Ahir and Rachel have 4 points. We start round 2 with a cutting from the BBC Sport website.
England spin bowler Jack Leach has not featured in South Africa after suffering gastroenteritis and flu. Jack hasn't been able to get 100% fit, head coach Chris Silverwood said. He's a great lad and his infectious personality will be missed.
Thanks to Ben Knighton for sending us that. Rachel Paris, which couple have agreed to transition out of the family?
So this is the news. I use the word loosely. This week, in response to Harry and Meghan's statement of last week, the Queen, after the big royal family summit, released a statement with very little information in it, but saying that she supported Harry and Meghan and she would support their wish to split their time, but that there were lots of details to be ironed out. So it was sort of less a statement, more of a holding email. I think no one can blame Harry and Meghan for wanting to leave the torrent of abuse that they've got from the media. And I've really enjoyed recently watching exactly the same group of people who said about Meghan when she first came on the scene, believe you me, that little madam is just in it for the title, the money and the lifestyle. The exact same people who now, with absolutely no sense of irony, are going, ha, well, turns out that girl doesn't care a fig for the title, the money and the lifestyle. So they're going to split their time between Canada and the UK, like those geese. Who seem to be fine, if a little arrogant. You know, and I do want Harry and Meghan to be allowed to live how they want, but you do have to wonder, you know, where it does leave the UK in practical terms. It's all very well them going off abroad, but when push comes to shove, when the country needs to call on their sixth in line to the throne to step up and open another wing of the Banbury Indoor Bowls Club, who will take that call? You know, I'm kidding. It's obviously going to be Beatrice and Eugenie.
Shah, what's your take on this?
So I've been a bit confused by this story because I believe I may be the only person in Britain who doesn't know this couple personally.
You don't know Harry and Meghan?
No, and so I find it quite difficult to comment on the details of their inner life. But why should that stop any of this? Yeah, I don't know. I think fair play to them if they want to leave behind the gilded cage and not have to exist in it for the rest of their lives. That sounds fair enough. Yeah, if they want to just go elsewhere and have a pleasant married life and not have to spend all of their time going around the world and waving like people who don't understand how wrists work. More power to their wrists.
There's two sides to this, right? There's this sort of genre of columnists who've made a career out of attacking Meghan in a big way. Maybe not made a career, but boosted their career. People like Piers Morgan. And I think you've got to look at them, people like that, and generally look at this whole situation. You've got to think, you know, and sometimes somebody is just unpopular, and it might be their own fault. Sometimes it's due to their background, what they represent to other people, just the way they instill in people this sort of visceral loathing, and what you want them to do is move to Canada or somewhere else, the moon maybe, shut up, go away, and never come back. And I think what we should all be grateful to Piers Morgan for is helping us all in Britain realise that that's how we feel about him. But it's, I mean, actually my favourite thing about this story is if they do move to Canada, Justin Trudeau has suggested, because there's this big fight over who's going to pay for their security, their protection officers. And Trudeau has suggested that when they're in Canada, maybe Canada will, which means they'll be surrounded by Mounties. Just awesome.
It's going to be real awkward when it turns out Trudeau went to a costume party dressed as Meghan Markle, though. Yes, this is the news that the Queen has agreed a period of transition in which the Duke and Duchess of Sussex will spend time in Canada and the UK. The statement came after crisis talks took place at Sandringham, presumably because they couldn't get a table at the Pizza Express in Woking. The couple expressed their intentions to split their time between London and Canada. The move breaks royal protocol, presumably because while in Canada, neither Harry nor Meghan will be the guest of a convicted sex offender. I can't be the only one disappointed that the period of transition in which the couple will attempt to be financially independent isn't being called triggering Article Thrifty. 2 points for Rachel! Hugo, who has been rebellious in the extreme?
Oh, right. So this is probably about Extinction Rebellion?
It is.
Right. So this is a story. This is basically a story about Priti Patel, who's a woman whose resignation in disgrace we can all look forward to. Even if we don't yet know... Even if we don't yet know what it'll be for.
Well, after the previous one.
Sorry, I should have said second, shouldn't I? What happened was a police group, a sort of official police group, published a brochure listing like extremist groups that the PREVENT programme, the sort of anti-terrorist de-radicalisation programme, should be worried about. And it included neo-Nazis and sort of violent Islamofascists and Satanists, and also Extinction Rebellion. And the former head of Prevent, Extinction Rebellion, for those who don't know, I'm sure you know, it's Radio 4. They're the environmental group, right? The former head of Prevent immediately said this was ridiculous. And the police said, actually, you know what, you're right, we shouldn't have done that. But then Priti Patel immediately said, no, it's fine, you should have done that. You have to make an assessment based on the risk they pose to the public. Now, it's not totally clear what the risk from all these sort of non-violent, largely vegan environmentalists would be to the public, beyond terrible fashion choices and maybe flatulence. But I suppose, being kind, Priti Patel's point is that just because somebody is a member of an outwardly respectable group, such as the Conservative Party, or Extinction Rebellion, that doesn't mean they're not also a sort of raging nutter who shouldn't be trusted with scissors. And I think we can all agree with her on that.
Although, equally, Hugo, I would say that being kind has never been Priti Patel's point.
What, I mean, this is a monumental overreaction, isn't it?
Well, yes and no, Nish, because to be honest with you, considering that for the last several decades, really, we've lived in a world where when people think extremist, their mind's eye immediately goes towards bearded brown men who look like me and you. It's quite refreshing that now extremist apparently includes tediously earnest white people with dreadlocks. I'm so thrilled that they get to share the fun. You know what I mean?
Rachel, beyond the fact that you can't spell climate crisis without ISIS, is there any...
Their rebrand is really coming along, actually.
It's
That's
doing very well for them. Is there any reasonable case for sticking them on the extremist list?
Well, I mean, I don't think that they're extremist. You like them, don't you?
Yes,
You're a big fan.
I performed at the Extinction Rebellion, but because I'm the host of a BBC show, I also must, for the sake of balance, say I will kill all of nature.
Well, I was completely on their side. I think, you know, the points are the right thing, and I was really completely on board until they slowed my journey down by 9 minutes. And now I think that they should be arrested en masse. Yeah, I think, I mean, no, you know, they're definitely not extremists, but it does make you wonder, you know, because I am on their side, and it does make you question what levels of behaviour and obstruction you'll put up with if it's on the side that you agree with, you know, like stopping public transport, blocking public areas, and perhaps most unpopular of all, dressing as broccoli. And I think even vegans would agree that that's very inflammatory and completely tasteless.
I mean, they're an anti-establishment protest group. Like, it's pretty hard to do that without protesting. Also, it's pretty hard to be a pro-establishment protest group. Like, you can't stand outside Westminster with placards saying, keep on going, and status quo, wait to go. And there's a bunch of people just standing there going, 2, 4, 6, 8, things are fine. This is Extinction Rebellion being forced to defend its activists after police included the group on a list of extremist ideologies in a counter-terrorism report. And personally, I think Extinction Rebellion are extreme in the same way that Frisbee can be ultimate. To my mind, they're both just a good excuse to take off your top in public. Home Secretary Priti Patel came out in defence of the police's decision, presumably because it gave her the opportunity to bust out her Disney villain smirk, which is fast becoming her signature look. This week, there's another quote from a prominent climate activist. "The moment of climate crisis has come," said David Attenborough, television presenter, and as of this week, terrorist ringleader. 2 points to Hugo! Here, who says the path to betterment takes 25 steps?
Nish, I believe this is a question about the Duke of Edinburgh's award.
Yeah.
Right now, the Duke of Edinburgh's award is a long-running thing in this country. For those of you who don't know, it's basically a sort of children's gulag. Now, the Duke of Edinburgh's award is something that now almost 500,000 young people a year in Britain are involved with it in some capacity. And the 25 sort of essential activities are these 25 points that have been put out there for young people as things that they could do to improve their life in general. And I'm not going to have a pop. Generally speaking, these are really nice things. A lot of them are fundamentally practical things. It's like learning how to manage money, learning how to cook. And those are the sorts of things that I actually wish that I'd been taught when I was in school, rather than having to learn it for myself when I became an adult, because I mainly spent most of my schooling learning very elaborate things about triangles. that genuinely counts for bugger all when you're overdrawn. Genuinely, like, it's like you go into the bank and the bank manager's like, Mr. Shah, you have minus £500. I don't want you going off on a tangent. And I'm like, you know what else has a tangent?
Rachel, two questions. Did you do the Duke of Edinburgh, and what do you think of this list?
No, I didn't do my Duke of Edinburgh because I was too busy learning to play the piano and the clarinet, and being house captain. I couldn't do everything, guys. Sorry to let you down.
The least surprising information from the blonde Hermione Granger. I read this list and I thought this is a lovely list of things that people could do, and there's no possible way anyone could sort of turn against this in any real way. Anyway, Rosie Jones.
Well, I thought this list was a bit stupid because I never did any of that growing up. All I did was I played a game called vodka or water. Really taught me everything I needed to know about life. And it usually ended with me throwing up on myself and then my friend hair drying my trousers clean before my dad showed up.
And what... I can't believe I'm asking this question and indulging this further. What do you think that taught you for adult life?
It taught me that I can do a radio show and everyone thinks I've been sipping water.
Yes, this is the news that the Duke of Edinburgh's award scheme has come up with a checklist designed to cut through apathy and build character in young people. The list consists of 25 essential activities, which, due to its failure to include breathing and eating, has already claimed over 50,000 lives. On the list is also the suggestion to try veganism or vegetarianism, although it doesn't say how long this experiment needs to last and could well fall between your morning sausage and your lunchtime sausage. The Duke of Edinburgh award scheme has over 461,000 participants, and it may shock you to discover that right now approximately 3,000 of them are currently lost in the Brecon Beacons. 2 points to Ahir Shah! Rachel Parris. Who is going to love Ireland?
Well, hundreds of people, according to a recent advert, which was for a position on a remote Irish island called Great Blasket. It's an island with no Wi-Fi, no electricity, no hot showers, and no proper roads. The position being advertised is for 2 people, possibly a couple, for a year to live in and look after 3 tiny cottages on an uninhabited island. And apparently hundreds of people all over the world have applied for this job. And I just don't think everyone's suited to that. I blame Bear Grylls for this, who's managed to convince thousands of people, you know, that they can live in a hollowed out frog and eat soil. And not everyone can. I mean, I could. And people who've done their Duke of Edinburgh can. But not everyone's able to. And it's a nice idea. I think everyone likes to imagine this kind of romantic ideal of living on a windswept island, you know, with very little communication with the outside world, the whimsy and the romance of it. And I would have previously thought of myself like that. But then after last month's power cut that happened, I've realised that I'm just a screaming wreck within 5 minutes. Absolutely just, you know, screaming and crying and setting fire to things and wetting myself. And it wasn't even a power cut, just the broadband went down for 3 minutes during storage wars. I will call it a living nightmare. The advert... The things that it says do sound a little bit like the start of an Agatha Christie novel. Yeah. I'm surprised so many people are applying to what is clearly an invitation to murder. A position is offered for a young, healthy couple, newlywed, to journey to a remote island with no communication with the outside world. We dress formally for dinner. Please bring your will. And an iPad and some PG tips and some Nutella, please.
Does seem like the perfect place to commit a murder, wouldn't you say, Rosie?
It's not my dream job. It sounds truly awful. Being alone with your own mind. Like, that is terrifying. How on earth would you keep their voices quiet?
By playing vodka or water.
People are calling this a dream job, but the two people that had it previously didn't find it a dream job because they actually said that they were being trolled online by people who were criticising them for not knowing enough about the island and also not speaking Irish. I did think when I read that, maybe if you're on a remote island, get off the internet. But it's real proof that people will just troll anyone for any reason at this point, isn't it?
Yes, I mean it doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like such a nice island. I looked at it online to see what it was like. I looked on Google Maps and I sort of zoomed right in, and it's an island with only one landmark, and that's a place called Fatal Cliff.
That sounds lovely.
Well, and I thought, well, maybe it sounds worse than it is. You know, maybe fatal means something else in Irish.
Yeah.
But no, it's called Fatal Cliff because loads of people died there. Only landmark. So yes, I mean, it's true that Twitter is bad, but Fatal Cliff is worse.
Shah, will you be applying for this job?
I will not be applying for this job, no, Nish. I was surprised to learn that hundreds of people had applied for this role. Because at the beginning of the article I read about it, it said that it had drawn inquiries from Alaska to South Africa, which I thought was a polite way of saying there have been 2 inquiries. Because it doesn't sound like a very enervating thing to me. In the pitch for the job, the people advertising the job said no 2 days are the same, which is obviously a lie. How different could days conceivably be? The only way that you could differentiate one day from the previous would be to go to Fatal Cliff. That's why I think it's just to escape the mundanity that people have gone to. And also, like, the advert said that it was for 2 people, 2 friends or a couple, and there's no one I want to spend that much time with. You'd have to be there for 6 months, just you and them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, my parents, you know my parents.
Lovely people.
Lovely people. Next year will be their 40th wedding anniversary. They're the best couple that I know, but I know that if the 2 of them did that, 6 months later, my mother would come back alone. I would say, what happened? She would say, I killed your dad. I would say, when? She would say, second day. And I would say, fair enough.
Yes, that's right. This is the news that applications have opened to become caretakers on the Irish island of Great Blasket, which has been described as one of the loneliest jobs in the world. The job is suited for a couple who want to get away. No need to worry about money. All I'm saying is, Harry, Meghan. These job applications opened the same day Sandy Toxvig quits Bake Off. Coincidence? Yes. 2 points to Rachel Paris. Before we reveal the final scores, has anybody got a cutting they'd like to share? Hugo.
Lots of people have sent this in from the BBC Scotland website, and it reads, burglars have ransacked the Manchester home of Scottish Olympic athlete Eilish McColgan while she was abroad, stealing medals and jewellery.
This was seen by Matt Jaggard and Will Dobbs in The Times. Where were you when man first walked on the moon? As the 50th anniversary of Apollo 11 approaches, we want to hear what it was like to witness it from Earth. If you're under 18, you must ask your parents or legal guardians for permission before sending in your submission.
And Rachel?
Paul Fulton from Cambridge sent this in. This is a review in the Cambridge Independent of the film Hustlers, which follows the lives of a group of pole dancers. Ramona catches the eye of every man in the club and also gets the attention of the less successful Destiny, who is failing to attract attention as she dances while trying to support her grandmother.
Thank you. And now let's take a look at the final scores. Ahir and Rachel have 9 points, but this week's winners are Hugo and Rosie with 10 points! Before we leave you, here is a maintenance sign seen recently on a toilet door sent in by David James.
This toilet is out of use. Please use floor below.
And with that, goodbye.
Taking part in the News Quiz Extra were Hugo Rifkin, Rosie Jones, Ahir Shah and Rachel Paris. In the chair was Nish Kumar and the news was read by me, Susan Ray. The chair's script was written by Jenny Laville, Robin Morgan and Tom Neenan, with additional material by Simon Alcock, Natalie Antonia and Charlie Dinkin. The producer was Sam Michel and it was a BBC Studios production.
Hello, I'm Andy Zaltzman. After the latest Gary Lineker controversy here at the BBC, I have been asked to remove all of my own brand clothing before we start this week's news quiz. Yeah, it's pretty annoying. I'd only just signed the deal to endorse the new War of the Roses 563rd anniversary armour range. The Zoltz cloak kitten corset has to go too. And so do the Zoltz spring pogo socks. Sorry, just need to check with the producer. Am I allowed to keep my handy Andy Zoltz pouch on?
No, I'm sorry, Mr. Zoltzman. It's got to go.
I think that's the wrong call. Sorry, I don't make the rules. Eyes up, everyone. Welcome to the news quiz. Hello, welcome to the news quiz. Let's meet our teams now, who'll be trying to take an early lead and then desperately cling on to it in an increasingly nervous and unconvincing manner. Our teams this week, we have Team 1 against Team 2. Unadventurous names, but they are acronyms based on the electoral strategy and prospects of Labour and the Conservatives. Team Obstinately Not Exciting against Team Total Wipeout. On Team 1, we have Alistair Beckett-King and Laura Smith. And on Team 2, Simon Evans, and from The Spectator, Cindy Yu. And Simon and Cindy, you can take our first question. Who is apparently heading for their worst what for how long?
Is it the people of Palo Alto heading for their worst neighbour since Mark Zuckerberg moved in?
Quite possible.
I think it's left-wing comedians are heading for the worst 30 years. They're going to find out what it's like.
Close? Any suggestions?
Is Keir Starmer on July the 5th heading for the most awkward high five in history? Up above, at the side, to the left, you're out of the party.
Is it the Tory party are heading for the worst electoral defeat since the 1832 Reform Bill?
Right.
Gifted the House of Commons to the Whig Party and signalled the end of the actual Tory party, at which point they were replaced with the modern Conservatives.
Right. You said that with a hint of regret in your voice.
Yeah. I'd like to say that was the beginning of the end, but I could see the rot had already set in some years earlier. Obviously, everyone is rubbing their hands with delight, and also, I think, just at some level, ever so slightly unnerved by the absolute bloodbath that is obviously in store. Personally, I think they deserve it. All of their warnings about be careful, if you vote for Labour, you might get a Labour government, and then they'll start like doing Labourish things.
I don't think the Conservative Party have been right since 2016. There's just too much poison in the waters, too much baggage, too much trauma. You probably just need a total wipeout, and then they hope it's only 5 years out, but God knows.
They've been warning about this Labour supermajority, telling the public that a vote for reform equals a vote for Labour. I guess the problem is that the voting public think that a vote for the Conservatives equals a vote for the Conservatives. Not really a message that's hitting home, is it? Here's a question for Alistair and Laura. What do the following have in common, according to a poll this week in The Telegraph? The Prime Minister, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, the Home Secretary, me, Taylor Swift, and celebrity fictional bear Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, is it people you wouldn't leave your kids with?
It's a bit harsh on Swifty, isn't it?
Is it people who are not going to be in politics after July 4th?
Correct. Yeah, the poll suggesting that even Sunak could lose his seat. Right, there's some cheering for the sake of BBC balance. I'm now going to need some people to boo. There There we go. Right, okay, we've covered both sides.
Sunak really has had a tough time, though, hasn't he? I mean, this is going to be... But, I mean, there was a time when Sunak's popularity was better than the Conservative Party as a whole, and now they've dragged him down to their level, and he's actually less popular than the Conservative Party and might lose his own seat. It's a tough gig that he's had in the last 2 years after Liz Truss and Boris Johnson, I think.
Wow, bless. Yeah, poor little billionaire.
In terms of the strategy of it, the Conservatives basically saying, we've got no chance, so vote for us. Which is not the most inspiring strategy, is it?
The Tories seem to be sort of scrabbling around. Like, it reminds me of like your friend who always has good business ideas that aren't good business ideas. They're like, what about tax? What about the borders? What about Jeremy Corbyn? What about like an air freshener shaped like cars that you hang on pine trees? Has anyone done that? Boris Johnson did another book.
Cindy, as a political journalist, how do you find this strategy of basically saying we're absolutely doomed?
Well, I guess it kind of makes sense if that was the only strategy they're going for. But the problem is, as Alistair says, they've got too many things going on, too many messages that they're trying to land. On the one hand, they're saying that Keir Starmer has an evil plan to kind of raise taxes and do all of this stuff that you won't like. On the other hand, they're saying that Keir Starmer has no principles at all and is totally inconsistent with what he wants. On the one hand, they're saying, oh, we're going to lose and it's going to be a Labour supermajority. Then the next day, Rishi Sunak comes out and say, no, guys, we can still win. It's like, you've got to decide on one message to get out there and to at least do that a little bit convincingly. But no, it's hardly inspiring, isn't it, just to say, don't vote for the other guys because they're rubbish too.
In terms of these attacks on Starmer, can you tell me on what grounds Sunak is being advised to slam the Labour leader?
I think they're trying to pretend Starmer is left-wing, which I don't think is fooling anyone.
So supporting Corbyn's
Yes.
manifesto and all that, is that right?
That and a couple of other things. So that was this three-prong attack. Support for Corbyn. Anything else?
His name sounds a bit like Stalin, and just.
That's a good answer, but it's not what I've got written down here. The subtext, I guess, Cindy.
Second referendum stuff?
Yes,
Brexit stuff?
backing a second referendum. And one other thing.
He's running a Ming vase campaign. That is the expression I've seen several times, which means he's just got something very fragile and delicate, and it's been dropped on countless occasions before at the last moment, and he just wants to carry it across the line without dropping it. But clearly there is an implication in the Ming vase that he is going to sell us to China.
Right. It's actually his career as a human rights lawyer.
Ooh. Ooh. Speaking as the general public, I hate humans and rights. Boo!
Probably quite good for the base, for the Tory base.
Sorry, I forgot who the Tories... Yeah, you're right.
Is this... Cindy, is a kind of turning point, and a lot of people have said this is a genuine kind of momentous election in terms of what it might do to the two-party landscape that's predominated for pretty much 100 years with Labour and the Conservatives. Do you feel that Reform UK in particular are genuinely going to change things, or is it a temporary?
Yeah, I think it's unlikely. I mean, as someone who, loves watching drama, I would love it to be the case that we change the political landscape from just these two main parties fighting it out. But that's not going to happen. And you look at the polls, for example, one of the polls says that Nigel Farage is not even going to win his own seat in Clacton. So I think whether or not Reform... I think at the moment, for most polls, Reform is higher than Lib Dem. But Lib Dem, for most polls, is going to have more seats than Reform. And that is just the way that this political system works. You don't really hear the Lib Dems talking so much about proportional representation now that they're going to get 55 seats or something like that, because it's working out for them, because they're concentrated in the south of England. Whereas for Reform, they just don't have critical mass in any constituency. So, yes, Nigel Farage would love to say this as a kind of Canadian 1990s Conservative situation, or as we've talked about, in this country 100 years ago, but frankly, it's not going to happen. He might fail on his 8th attempt to be an MP.
So here's another question on the Reform Manifesto. A fishing trawler, pictured in the Reform Manifesto in a section about reviving our coastal communities, displays a surprisingly prominent pair of whats?
Turds?
Flags. German flags.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yes, this is because they use stock images from other parts of Europe, right?
Yeah.
German
This
flags
is
from which
slightly
era?
awkward.
I think not that era.
They have an interesting idea for the NHS, which we all agree is under strain, which is basically that rich people should stop using it and do all private healthcare, which my understanding is that that is how it is now. But their idea is that once all of the strain from the rich people is taken out, the NHS will be able to breathe free in much the same way that, rich people don't go to libraries or use buses, which is why they are always so fantastically well funded.
Shall we move on to the SNP? We'll give this to Alistair and Laura. The SNP said that an independent Scotland would want to do what?
I think it's what we want to. No, that's Billy Piper. An independent Scotland would want to leave the Union behind and get us far away from Lawrence Fox. Again, that's Billy Piper. I keep confusing Billy Piper with Scotland.
I mean, the clue's in the name, I suppose, to be fair.
You think
the middle name
bagpiper?
I think radically, it's weird that this is radical, they want to attract more foreign migrants. That's one of the things they said they want to do. And I think that's great because Scotland is a very welcoming country, but I think it is going to be confusing for those migrants because in Scotland, the language doesn't quite work the same way. Like in Scotland, offensive words that you can't say on the radio are terms of endearment, whereas nice words are very threatening. Like the word pal is very nice in England, it just means chum. But in Scotland, pal, excuse me, pal. Excuse me, pal. That guy's not your pal. The last thing you want to hear in a Scottish accent is the words, hello, friend. You and I are going to be great friends.
I thought the first thing they were going to do is deny ever knowing England. That's just...
Is it move Trident to Putney Bridge?
Is it rejoin the EU?
Yes.
Because it would be absolutely a matter of urgency that they need to find a new exterior legislative to blame for all their trouble. They're having Westminster.
Another election-related question. Who has been struggling to show their working on how they worked out what working means?
Is it Labour?
Yeah. There's been a sort of heated debate over exactly what Labour means by working people when they say they're not going to tax working people. Do you count yourself as a working person, Alistair?
Me?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Look at my hands, so smooth. I haven't done a day's work I just came down from an ivory tower to record this. It's weird because we have a go at politicians on shows like this as comedians, but I think actually everybody works harder than comedians, including politicians. It's much easier being a comedian than a politician because we don't have manifestos. We can just come out and say whatever we want, try and get the audience to laugh, try and get them to clap, and we never have to back that up because we're never going to be in government. It's like being Nigel Farage. So easy. And actually, I've gigged in Clacton, so that looked tough. When I've got more hair than the entire audience, I know it's going to be a tough one.
It was kind of curious discussion, this, trying to define what they mean by working people when they say they're not going to tax.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Especially from a party that's still called Labour, which used to be synonymous with that very notion, but of course has become a coalition of fringe weirdos now. And no, so I've given up on the idea that I might carry the audience with me on it. 50% of the people listening at home are nodding along to that. Working people are now, I think according to some, one of the two criteria is that they fail to save any money, right? That they live from paycheck to paycheck. That's basically the criteria,
right? He said specifically people who earn their living, rely on public services, and don't really have the ability to write a cheque when they get into trouble. Now, for our younger listeners, writing a cheque... when you physically wrote on a bit of paper that you wanted to pay a sum of money, that's probably a concept you don't really understand either.
I missed. It was only 20 years ago that Chip and Pin came in, and the old tradition of holding up a queue of people in a shop while you filled in your stub with a fountain pen. It was glorious.
I had you down as more of a quill man.
It is kind of circular. Labour's definition of working people is the people who they are not going to increase taxes on, and that is how you know that they're working people, because they're the ones that they're not going to increase taxes on. I think the real workers are the billionaires, because I'm going for Simon's demographic here. Because they are wealth creators, you know, and they're hard workers. They make all that money with their gumption and spunk. And I think if you...
You don't actually get nearly as much for that as you might think, even billionaire spunk. I mean, there is a market for it, but...
So I think gumption and spunk is a marginal constituency in Gloucestershire, isn't it?
It's gumption under spunk, yes. I think if you took billionaires' money away from them, they just earn it straight back again. And I'm so confident of that I think we should take billionaires' money away from them.
As the old saying goes, a week is a long time in politics, and 2 weeks to go before an election which polls suggest you're going to be obliterated in must seem like an absolute eternity. Another recent poll showed that a quarter of Tory voters from 2019 now think the party, quotes, deserve to lose every seat they have. It's basically like a parent booing their own child at a nativity play. I've seen more convincing angels at your granny's strip club. Meanwhile, Keir Starmer still has to entirely convince the voting public, but as the old saying goes, in the land of the rotting aubergine, the half-eaten carrot is king. And, of course, we recorded this before Thursday night's Question Time Leaders Special, so it is possible by the time you hear this, Rishi Sunak's promise to give every pensioner in the country a solid gold mobility jetpack has turned things around for him. Or Keir Starmer's underarm squelchy national anthem did not prove to be quite the patriotic vote winner he'd hoped for. Or maybe Ed Davies' new mermaid tale won the hearts of voters. Or perhaps Nigel Farage's uncosted promise to extend the White Cliffs of Dover another 500 metres upwards, stretch them across the entire coastline of Britain and coat them with an anti-asylum butter, might raise voter concerns about how it will affect their own beach holidays. Who knows? We will report back next week. And of course, we should also emphasise that a lot of this is just based on opinion polls, and opinion polls are like ex-wives, in that they're not always the most reliable sources of objective information, but if 10 of them are saying the same thing to you, there might be something in it. At the end of that round, the scores are 5 to Alistair and Laura and 6 to Cindy and Simon. We're going to have some numbers-based questions now. This can go to Cindy and Simon. Here are the numbers. You've got to tell me what they refer to. Nigel Farage, 7. Keir Starmer, 33. Rishi Sunak, 0.
Is it the number of people at their birthday parties?
Any other suggestions?
Is it working class friends?
Could quite possibly. It's not the answer I've got written down here, but it's a very good guess. Alistair, any?
I think, I may be wrong, but I think the party leaders were all asked what their favourite element on the periodic table was. Farage went for 7, which is nitrogen, which makes up the majority of our atmosphere because he doesn't like minorities. Keir Starmer went for 33, which is arsenic, which is odd because I don't see him as a poisoner. He's more of a backstabber. And Rishi Sunak went for 0, which on my periodic table is no chance in helium.
So Farage 7, Starmer 33, Sunak 0.
It's something to do with the manifestos, the images within them?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
The total number of pictures of leaders in their own party's manifestos. So what do you think it says about the Conservatives that there are 0 pictures of Rishi Sunak?
Their printing bill has been running high and they didn't want to have to, when you have a family picture and someone's got a new boyfriend and you're like, yeah, let's just put him on the edge. We don't think he's going to last long, that's it. They're just, or like Back to the Future where he's just faded out of the image.
Let's go a bit more global now with another numbers question. Okay, here are the numbers. USA, 3,708. Russia, 4,380. China, 500. Britain, 225. David Attenborough, 0.
Air miles?
Attenborough's clocked up a
I suspect it's nuclear stockpile, is it?
Correct, yes. Yeah. Attenborough still hasn't got his longed for or nuke.
Maybe he could be sent on one when the time comes. There's like an asteroid named after him, and I feel that would be the only suitable resting place for him.
What, fired into space on a nuclear warhead?
what he would have wanted.
Yeah. What I want.
I don't think he mentioned it at any point, but I think it's what he would have wanted.
So there's reports that China's stockpile is increasing at the fastest rate, up from 410 to 500. Is that a concern for you, Simon?
I mean, it's still like an eighth of, as you said, of what America or Russia have. They got quite a long way to come up. And when you see how many bases they're surrounded by, I don't think it's necessarily an indication that they're about to use them anywhere.
Although I guess the thing about nuclear warheads is if you've got one or two that you're willing to use, it doesn't really matter if you've got 400 or 4,000. It's probably enough to destroy a lot of things. Does the 200th or the 300th warhead really make a difference? I don't know.
When you get to 500, though, that's got to be psychologically crucial, hasn't it?
Maybe a milestone. It's like, like you get like a plaque for saying, well done, you've got a 500th nuclear missile. Is it concerning? I think it depends, really. China's been purging some of its rocket force generals in the last 12 months or so, kind of very quietly, getting rid of its defense secretary as well. And it turns out American intelligence thinks this has happened because some of China's nuclear missiles was filled with water, not with fuel. Right. And that some of its missile launch pads had lids that didn't fit properly, so that when the time actually comes, the lids wouldn't actually release to let the missiles out. So it kind of depends.
You don't want that, do you?
No.
Talk about spoiling the ship for a heap of the tar, that's it.
So it depends, how concerned should you be? It depends on if they're like water missiles or actually, nuclear missiles.
I think it's terrible that China poses a nuclear threat. I think they should be like us and have a nuclear deterrent, which is much, much safer. Jens Stoltenberg, I think I'm saying his name correctly, Jens Stoltenberg, the General Secretary of NATO, said that NATO, I think I'm quoting him right, must show its arsenal to the world. I agree. Wasn't it Machiavelli who said, the closer we are to danger, the further we are from harm? No, it was a hobbit from Lord of the Rings, but still. One heck of a thinker. Yeah.
I think during the Euros, when you show your arsenal to the world, you must stick a flare up it as well.
For what it's worth, I do think the nuclear deterrent work, it has worked clearly since Hiroshima. There's been not a single nuclear discharge, and that is because Russia upped its game pretty sharpish once it saw what America was packing. We may regret that, and the Cold War dragged on a bit, certainly, but I think it was probably preferable to the alternative, which many Americans said, nuke Moscow now before it gets... I mean, that was really discussed at the highest levels. I think MacArthur was up for it. And, this is the kind of thinking you get in America. And they are now looking at a second Cold War. It's better that China up its game as quickly as possible because America is probably thinking, if we're going to nuke them, we better nuke them sharpish. That is how it is. Ukraine gave up its right to a nuclear deterrent, and that's how that's played out.
I think that the only issue with that... If I have one thing that I disagree with, it would be your words, I think. To me, I think our attitude towards nuclear weapons is like Americans with handguns. They make us feel safer. Clearly, statistically, handguns don't make Americans safer, but they make them feel safer. And nuclear weapons, whether they actually do make us safer or not, they make us feel safer, but they, just by their existence, pose an existential threat to humanity.
Are you saying that all Americans should have their own nuclear deterrent?
Thank you for making a joke at the end of that.
Just quickly, apparently there are around 40 operational nuclear warheads in the UK. Do any of you know what the activation code is? Apparently it's Hastings 1066 exclamation mark.
All lowercase?
Sorry, the Eye of Hastings is a 1. Let's have a question about love now. A tea set, a car, guns, a dagger, a long, lingering look of love, and a mutual defence pact were all exchanged between what two lovebirds this week?
I think this is about Putin and Kim,
Correct.
Who have formed a defence pact. We don't know how Kanye feels about it. But one way or another, it can't be good news for the West.
What I like about this exchange is that Putin brought with him a Russian limo, as you say, Andy, a tea set as well, so lots of diplomatic presence from the Russian side. And the North Koreans gave Putin lots of pictures of Putin, which is exactly what I imagine Kim Jong-un's like, I wonder what Vladimir Putin would like. I know what I like the most.
No, but I'm interested in the pictures because they both look like they have a lot of work done as well, the pair of them, didn't they? I don't know what's going on with the filler in Putin's face at the moment.
All right, you're saying he's not looking after himself?
Oh, I think he's gone too far.
Well, that is true in so many ways. Our final question now, with the scores tied at 8 points each. According to research, people, one of the most renowned species on Earth, have had enough of what? Anyone?
Ed Davey on water slides?
That is almost certainly correct. Any other suggestions? People have had enough of what?
It all.
That's also, well, that is essentially the right answer.
Is it the news?
Yes, basically news. Yeah, people have had enough of news.
Not news quizzes, though.
Good, I'm glad you said that, Laura. Yeah, people are avoiding the news and increasingly getting their news on social media. Is that good for humanity, or...?
Yeah, what they're having enough of is balanced news agencies, isn't it? Is what they've had enough of is this, but on the other hand, that. What they now want is go our team, and that's been the case for some time. And I think something like over half of young people are getting their news from TikTok.
People can't handle anything that's going to challenge them or last over a minute, essentially. We all know if somebody sends you a video that's over a minute on your WhatsApp, you're like, nope, I'm not going to do that.
Yes, the millennium is clearly going through a bit of a rocky patch at the moment, probably over the last 24 to 25 years at least. And people have had enough of the news, me included. I just make up my own news now, just write headlines that I want to read and then try and forget them overnight, wake up in the morning, get a nice little headline like, world can be entirely saved by sitting at home watching sport on the telly and eating Spanish ham, confirms scientist. Magic ketchup turns sausage back into live pig. Environment probably fine, claims drowning scientist. Kiss cam installed in UN General Assembly Hall, which surely would solve most of the world's problems, would it not? No one can resist a kiss cam. Well, that brings us to the end of this week's news quiz, and our winners are Cindy and Simon with 10.
Of course.
Wow.
And just quickly, do remember, if you are an election candidate or someone with close access to the Prime Minister, please gamble responsibly. Thank you for listening. I've been Andy Zaltzman. Goodbye. Taking part in the news quiz were Cindy Yu, Alistair Beckett-King, Simon Evans and Laura Smith. In the chair was me, Andy Zaltzman, and additional material was written by Cameron Loxdale, Jade Gebby, Dan Swerit and Peter Toulouche. The producer was Sam Holmes, and it was a BBC Studios audio production for Any Guesses? Correct, it was Radio 4. Hello, I am Andy Zaltzman. Welcome to this post-general election special news quiz. Hello. Welcome to the news quiz recorded on Friday as we digest, then violently regurgitate the results of an election that will surely go down in history. As indeed do all elections, of course, but this one in particularly fluorescent ink. Our teams this week, they represent the two main facial expressions of election night. We have Team Wipeout Pout versus Team Landslide Lip. That little quiver of trying not to seem too overconfident before the results come through. On Team Wipeout Pout, we have Simon Evans and Lucy Porter. And on Team Landslide Lip, Rialina and Hugo Rifkind. Right. Simon and Lucy, you can take the first question. Now, I know many of you listening at home have been avoiding the result of the election so you can hear it first from this show. Only truly reliable source of verifiable fact in the nation. So let's start with a nice, simple one. Who won the 2024 UK general election?
Oh, democracy was the winner, I think, Andy, absolutely. Well, the Labour Party obviously took the majority of seats due to the vagaries of the first-past-the-post system, which I've been saying for decades now needs a radical overhaul. They have managed to secure a sizable, if not supermajority, I would say majority premium.
That's great. Lucy, did you have a good election night?
I did. Well, I thought the real winner was the woman's hat at Blythe. That was, hugely... I mean, I think fashion had a great night.
That hat looked like she'd put on a hat and then someone had put another hat on top of a hat as a joke, and she didn't know because she couldn't see it because of the first hat.
It was a super hat. It was, I loved the coverage, absolutely loved it. I spent the first bit listening on the radio, as everyone should, to Nick Robinson and Rachel Dudar, and it was very good. Rachel Burden, that's no. I thought the BBC coverage was great, with Laura Koonsberg and Clive Myrie having the kind of chemistry of a recently divorced couple who have to make a joint speech at their daughter's wedding. I thought that was amazing. I enjoyed that. And then Channel 4, I switched over to Channel 4, but that was too intense. Channel 4 was like, the minute after the exit poll, they all sort of just hunched over. It was like a kind of a load of students in the pub having a discussion about politics about 6 pints. And I think Rory Stewart was rolling his own fags the whole way through. That's everything you could dream. I just had such a lovely time. And
That's good. Hugo and Ray, I mean, it was quite a spectacular victory for Labour. But was it the least impressive spectacular victory in democratic history?
I mean, can you call it a win if your opponent cuts off one of their legs and then tries to finish the race as two separate athletes?
It is confusing. I mean, it's like, so Keir Starmer, he's now got a mandate to do the very important things for Britain that are so important for Britain that he didn't want to risk blowing his chance to get to do them by telling us what they were beforehand, which is great. But there is this sort of looming sense that it's like an imperfect victory, even though it's such a massive victory, which I think it's a bit... I'm not sure about that, because it's like, it is done now. We are done with elections until the next election. It's like if you have this sort of vicious, drunken fight with your other half and all about who was an idiot at a party, and you come home and you shout at each other and you narrowly win the argument, and then the next morning your wife is like, well, we need to reopen that, and you go, no, we'll talk about it again in 5 years.
I'm really hopeful, because given how much of the vote share Labour got versus how many seats they got, they can do a lot with nothing. And I think that's exactly what we need them to do over the next 5 years. So keep doing it. I mean, I now understand how Jesus did the loaves and fishes trick.
What worries me, is that people have been making a lot of fuss in recent weeks about Joe Biden being 81. But Keir Starmer is 61, which means by the time the Tories get back into government, he could be 81 too.
I do think it is a shame, and it's a stain on our nation's democracy that so few people did turn out. It was a very low turnout. Perhaps people assumed it was a done deal, but it's never a done deal, and people should take their suffrage seriously. People have died for my right to vote. I remember that, not this year, but in 2019... There was a very unfortunate incident, a bit of a mistake over parking places outside the...
Liz Kendall was asked about whether she was worried about Labour's vote share this morning. And she said, look, our job is to get the biggest mandate we can. It's not our job to get people to vote for us. Kind of is, Liz, isn't it?
Do you know where he made his victory speech? Anyone?
Which one?
Yes, in the Turbine Hall.
Yes.
Which presumably does get his juices flowing. I don't know, in the Tate Modern Museum, quite an odd place.
Seemed kind of appropriate. A place where people generally go to spend a lot of time staring blankly at walls thinking, what is this supposed to be?
I mean, it was an interesting speech, wasn't it? I mean, he tried so hard, but he still isn't a real boy.
I remember that when it opened, the Tate Modern, I went there and they had an exhibition of various modern art, and and they're very conceptual modern art. And the one that really stayed with me, it was quite powerful, was 6 oblong mirrors sort of lashed together to form an interior cube of mirrored surfaces, which you couldn't see. You had to assume it and imagine what it would be like to be inside there. And I kind of feel that is emblematic of Labour, actually. that basically is it, just a series of mirrored surfaces offering you whatever it is you want to see in them. So maybe he was referencing that, but it seems a bit of a stretch, I suppose.
Best thing I ever saw there was they had a load of swings that you could go on, which is Ed Davey would have been in like a shot.
You know, I prefer seeing what I want to see in the mirrored version of Labour than what the Tory version would be, which is no reflections at all.
I think it's, you can laugh at Ed Davey, though, with his series of stunts, but he's done tremendously well with his, crazy, cheerful, divorced dad energy. He's taken the country out to McDonald's. That's it.
Whenever I see him on TV now, because you only see him from the waist up, I always imagine he's wearing, like, Bermuda shorts. And sort of space.
Sunak made a resignation speech on Friday morning, basically as we're recording this, in which he said to the people of Britain, "I've heard your what?"
I've heard your anger.
Yes,
And
anger
I'm like,
and disappointment.
It took you how long? How long? Like, we've been yelling at you. How long is it the distance between where we are and where you are down there? Is there a different atmospheric pressure where you are that it just took longer for that anger to travel to you?
It is hard as a short person, it really is.
Did he say, "I heard your ridicule for not having an umbrella last time, and that is why my wife is standing behind me this time with an umbrella"?
Oh, it's sad though, because they'll have to manage on just her salary now.
But he did also say the UK is the best country in the world, so that's nice to have that in the official rankings. I mean, it's a pretty low bar these days, but we'll take it.
He's still not going to live here, though, is he? So.
Now, can you tell me the common link between these people? Grant Shapps, Liz Truss, Count Binface, Penny Mordaunt, Nick the Incredible Flying Brick, Jacob Rees-Mogg, Gillian Keegan and Timmy Mallet.
It's chlamydia.
They've all been voted out, obviously. They are all currently visiting the Jobs Centre.
Yeah.
And although I would imagine Grant Shapps has probably set up a couple of vaping shops on the high street or something by now. But,
I feel really sorry for Grant Shapps. He tried so hard because I think he wasn't just running as Grant Shapps. He was also Count Binface. He was also the Moonface Man. He was also every member of the loony raving monster bin party ever was, and he still didn't win.
I think of all of those people, Penny Mordaunt probably has the brightest future because I don't know if you're familiar with this, but there are various online services now whereby comedians, for instance, can make themselves available to give birthday wishes and so on to people. You can pay a couple of £100 if you want a real A-lister. Penny Mordaunt with the sword, I would imagine, will be the sword bearer at your birthday party or going ahead of you down the aisle at the wedding, that kind of thing. I would imagine.
Just smashing away at a pinata at a
exactly. Yeah.
Jacob Rees-Mogg, when he was talking about the election all going on for the Tories, he said they're falling like 9 pins. So even when he's talking about bowling, he has to pick the weird British one that no one's done since 1938.
I don't like to take delight in others' misfortune, but
come on.
Yes, I love it.
You're a comedian, Lucy.
I did not as much. See, 97, I was jubilant, and now I'm 51. I just don't have the energy for that anymore. I kept hearing on the radio his interviews, and he sounded like he was on an old Bakelite mic, and there was a ticking clock in the background. He's just sinister. I would love to be able to be that sinister without even trying. And but maybe now he's going to show his true colours. Maybe he's now going to stop wearing the suits. It's going to be track pants and just a ukulele.
I would imagine at this moment he's already ascending the outside of his castle walls head first and about to re-enter his sarcophagus for another 20 years or so. Wait out this administration entirely.
A colleague of mine was saying that whenever Jacob Rees-Mogg is at a count, his nanny will always bring for everyone a supply of tongue sandwiches. So wherever Jacob Rees-Mogg goes on election night, there is a strong smell of tongue, which I feel you can kind of see on the screen, really.
Tongue sandwiches sounds like some bizarre Scouse slang for something you're not allowed to reference at this hour of the day. Family show.
And sandwiches, by the way, as we found out, are Rishi Sunak's favourite meal, so...
Yeah. Saying Rishi Sunak wants a tongue sandwich from Jacob Rees-Mogg kind of makes me want to vomit.
Can any of you tell me, to put the scale of the Conservative defeat into perspective, which famously disgusted town where I grew up did not vote Conservative this time?
That is Tunbridge Wells.
Correct.
Disgusted at Tunbridge Wells in green ink. Yes.
Tunbridge Wells has fallen. Now, to put this in perspective, this week, the world's oldest ever cave art was found in Indonesia. They reckon it's 51,000 years old, and that has beaten the previous record of 48,000 years, which was found in a cave painting in Tunbridge Wells that just had a small box like that with a kind of a cross sign and the words Conservative Party next to it. So were there any particular highlights for you? Because we haven't seen this many big beasts brought down since we were trawling the world looking for majestic creatures to shoot and turn into soft furnishing. So, any particular highlights for any of you?
I mean, Truss. It was especially good because I love the fact we do the polling alphabetically. So it really gave that suspense because she's at the end of the alphabet. And, oh, God, it was a beautiful moment. It was...
What do you think she'll do now?
Well, she said afterwards, she said, well, I've got a lot to think about. And I was like, God, that's dangerous, isn't it?
I might be out on a limb here, but I don't think there were any big beasts in this Tory government, were there? That was part of the problem. It was more of a petting zoo, and it has been for some time.
Like a petting zoo where all the animals have got mange. Mummy, don't make me go to the Tory petting zoo. I'm still on the rash from last time.
But, darling, I've already made the tongue sandwiches.
Kwasi Kwarteng, the former Fever Dream Nano-Chancellor, compared the Conservatives to what as the results came through? Anyone?
Oh, yeah, I did. It was something to do with ancient Egypt or something, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
Was it a corpse?
Well, sort of. A curse.
Was it a spleen in a jar?
A dung beetle.
It was the god Osiris. Correct. But I cannot remember his justification for it, other than possibly, as you say, fever dream. I don't know.
Is it because it's got the head of a dog and it's totally dead?
Well, it's because it's suffered deaths but rises again.
He does know they didn't do that.
Do you think, with hindsight, the Tories should have taken a leaf out of Joe Biden's book and said they had jet lag for 14 years?
Surely it'd be private jet lag, anyway.
I think they should have made Sunak give the helicopter back immediately, and he should have had to get a megabus down from Britain.
Was a megabus an ancient Egyptian god as well?
I think that Biden should take a leaf out of Ed Davies' book, because I noticed when Ed Davey did his speech, he said, well, look, when I fell off my paddleboard in Windermere, we were discussing the pollution of our waterways, and I went down the water slide. We discussed the future needs of children across the country, and he went through every stunt that he did, and it was clearly linked to the stunt. And I went, that's what Biden needs to do in order to remember what it is that he's up there for and talking about.
I would love to see Biden bungee jumping. It would just... I mean, that is
I would imagine he would literally detach at the waist.
On the subject of the Lib Dems, here's a question for you. They got 11 seats in 2019, 71 as we record, with just a few results still to come in 2024. But can you tell me how many more votes did they get this time compared with the last time to get those extra 60 seats? Yes.
Yeah, they got 4 more votes.
You've overstated that wildly.
Yeah, they got quite a few less votes.
They did, yes. Yeah.
Surely fewer, son.
Fewer, yeah.
Reform UK got about 14% of the vote. Nigel Farage, 8th time lucky, has made it into Parliament. Hugo, is this a genuine political game changer, or protest vote, electoral prank?
It's tricky. Like, the danger for Reform is the more MPs that they actually have, the more likely one of them is to be discovered to have a cellar full of Nazi memorabilia.
Someone was saying, they said, but how will Farage actually cope in Parliament? And I was like, well, it's a wood-panelled room full of baying, boozed-up men. It's a pub. He'll be fine. It's very much... But it is amazing, 8 times it's taken him to become an MP. Like, if someone said to me, I've failed my driving test 7 times, I would be out of that Uber. Like a shot. I mean, on a constituency level, if you have a Reform MP, how is that going to work? They'll only fill in a pothole if you say there's an asylum seeker hiding in it, presumably. They're sort of quite one note, aren't they? That's why.
A couple of their seats are on coastal constituencies, so I expect they'll be on the beach the whole time solving the problem, won't they? Just waving it off. I think he's going to be in Parliament all the time because it's a subsidised bar. It'll be cheaper than Wetherspoons.
No, come on. No. Nowhere's cheaper than Wetherspoons. Come on, let's be real. In all seriousness, I think Sunak, or possibly even Johnson, missed the trick in not elevating Farage to the House of Lords when there was still time to do so. That would have undermined his credibility as a candidate for this election, and would have probably, won them with 30, 40 extra seats. That really does seem to me to be a trick they missed, and it would probably have appealed to Farage. As Tim Farron released a tweet this morning saying, genuinely saying, Agent Truss has been recalled from the field, her work is done. You could have done the same thing with Farage 5 years ago. You could have said your work is done, elevate you to the House of Lords. That threat is extinct now, and that there would have been no bother at all.
Is that why they put Chris Grayling in the House of Lords yesterday? Oh, thank goodness that threat is gone.
I'm looking forward to the levels of financial disclosure that MPs have to make from the Reform Party. I'm really excited to see the accounts of Nigel Farage and Richard Tice. That's going to be good fun for everybody, I think.
They have that is technically a limited company rather than a party, isn't it? Which I don't really understand the implications of that, but presumably that is a financial point. You know that, right? The Reform Party is not a party in the strict sense. It's it's a shop, basically.
Yeah, it means they now own Clacton.
Yeah.
Looking around the UK, it didn't go very well for the SNP. First Minister John Swinney said the SNP is not winning what?
Anything.
It's pretty much correct.
They said that they'd been swept away in the Starmer tsunami, which I thought was lovely. That's made him sound much more exciting than his own party have managed to do, isn't it?
On the flip side of that, Plaid Cymru has claimed its best ever general election result. Elsewhere around the UK, Northern Ireland is reputed to still exist, but it was unclear from much of the coverage. Sinn Féin is set to be the largest party in Northern Ireland, and the Greens had a good night with almost 7% of the vote and a huge win in Bristol Central. Does this show that maybe more people are in favour of the world continuing to exist?
I mean, a few more. Right. It's still a marginal interest, though. Still a fringe thing, yeah.
Let's try and interpret the results a bit more now, because there's a huge amount of tactical voting. It's quite hard to know exactly what to make of these results. You could interpret it by saying, well, Labour, yes, they won a massive majority, but 66% of voters didn't want them, almost 80% if you factor in turnout. Now, every vote obviously comes with a lot of subtext and different purposes, and I'm going to help you interpret them with this. I've got a high-tech piece of kit, the Cepholotech Balloterpretator 5000X vote interpreting goggles. It's the new model. If I put them on and then look at the X on any ballot paper, it tells me what the person was in fact voting for. I've stolen a few ballot papers from ballot boxes, our little secret. And I'm going to challenge our panellists to tell me what they in fact meant. So I'm just going to put the goggles on. Okay.
Balloterpretator on.
Right, let's check it's working. Here's a green vote, which now I'm going to interpret. I think it was someone who likes the idea of having an inhabitable planet in 100 years' time. Let's see what it actually meant.
Bring back wolves.
Okay, so Lucy, that's your vote. It's a Liberal Democrat vote. Can you tell me what that person actually meant, just from looking at the vote?
Well, I mean, what this says to me is I live in the West Country and I've always wanted to try windsurfing.
Let's find out what it actually meant.
I want to make 100% sure that I vote for a party with no chance of winning, so I have carte blanche to complain about everything for the next 5 years.
There we go. Core vote. Back and working. Hugo? That's for you. It's Reform UK. Tell me what that Reform UK vote means.
This X mark with a pencil, it says to me, this pencil is the sharpest thing I've been allowed to hold in months. No. It basically says, you know, the way everything's gone really, really mad for the last 8 years with ropey spivs running everything and consistently promising to make our lives better while only ever supporting policies that make them much, much worse. Well, let's have more of that.
Let's find out what it actually meant.
I want Britain to leave planet Earth and be truly free.
Right, Ria, you can have a Conservative vote. Have a look at that. Tell me what it means.
Oh. There's the classic, I haven't really engaged in the news recently, and by recently I mean the last 14 years. There's also the hipster who would have done it ironically. But most of them would be people that, like that Starmer bloke, they feel he's the most sensible purveyor of Tory ideology that they've had in years. What do you mean he's not the Tory candidate?
Right, let's find out what it actually meant.
I have been asleep for 14 years.
Right. And finally, Simon, you get a Labour vote. Tell me what's that.
Okay. I am a net beneficiary of the state and hope that to continue. I thought that would go down well.
Let's find out what it actually means.
I am bored of the news quiz and want some different jokes about a different government.
I better switch it off. I can't handle the truth. Right.
Ballot interpretator off.
Right. Yes, a new government has been democratically elected, and a reminder that we truly are fortunate to live where we live. Stroke, a new government has been foisted on the country against the wishes of the vast majority of voters. Delete, according to... Actually, don't delete. They are both true. The result was simultaneously good and not so good for almost all of the parties, and simultaneously awful and absolutely disastrous for the Conservatives. Labour got more than double their seats from 2019, more than they could have dreamed of, but saw their total votes barely move, surfing to power on a just about discernible ripple of enthusiasm against a sitting government that didn't merely provide an open goal for them, but kept whacking the ball into that open goal unprompted. At previous elections, the Conservatives have promised this nation strong and stable government and warned how dangerous a coalition could be. And finally, they have delivered. I mean, who and what has had a good election and bad election, would you say?
The nice thing was there was some sort of quite generous, like actually Rishi Sunak's farewell speech compared to the madness of Johnson and Truss and stuff. That was actually sort of relatively gracious. And there was some nice, some people lost their seats. Robert Buckland, I thought he was great, very generous to the winner and furious with his own party, which was hilarious. And Michael Fabricant, he's very gracious in defeat. He has agreed to ease the transition. He's going to lend his hair to his replacement, which I thought was nice.
We are just hearing that Michael Fabricant is being returned to the Harry Enfield sketch he escaped from in the
We're all winners. The move to competence, right? It's like if politicians were astronauts. So we now have, like, the sort of Starmer's team, they're just another bunch of astronauts. They're just going to do what astronauts do. But we have had 14 years of instead having people who thought they were astronauts, but were just sort of, like, jumping as high as they could with tinfoil on their heads. And so that, I think, is going to be... That's going to be a real benefit.
And in terms of Labour's in-tray, what would you say is should be the top priority in that in-tray, and both for the nation and for yourselves?
Yeah, okay, two things I'd like them to do. One is get rid of all the sewage in rivers.
Right.
Because someone should have done that. Bit weird. And the other is bring back the Cadbury Spira chocolate bar. Because I don't know why it went, and it's been a long time.
Right.
If they chuck fruit clubs into the mix as well, I'd be very happy with that. Rename Opal Fruits. There's a lot they could be getting on with.
I have to say, I am disappointed. Keir Starmer has said that in his lifetime, Britain will not rejoin the EU or the single market, and he's 61 years old, so that's quite a long time, which is kind of like if Biden said, you know what won't happen in my lifetime? Christmas.
Well, that brings us to the end of our election special show. And Simon and Lucy have 9 points. Ria and Hugo have 10. So using electoral mathematics, that means that Simon and Lucy have 1. And Ria and Hugo have 410. So we will, of course, have world-exclusive coverage of the next 5 years of Labour government, and we'll see.
Oh, by the way, I don't know if you know this, Keir Starmer's dad is a tool maker.
We do have to say that on every show now for the next 5 years. Was Labour redrawing the political map, or just waiting for the Conservatives to finish barbecuing the map, picking up its charred remnants, squirting some ketchup on it and saying, voila, new map? Time that judgmental little interfering busybody that it is will tell as the Tories take a long, hot bloodbath with themselves to figure out exactly what went wrong and where. Thank you very much for listening. Just hearing that Liz Truss and Jacob Rees-Mogg will be ceremonially released back into the wild on Monday morning. And also hearing that apparently in the palace just earlier on, Rishi Sunak was heard to use the words, "You can't fire me 'cause I quit." Thank you very much for listening to the News Quiz. Goodbye. Taking part in the News Quiz were Lucy Porter, Ria Lena, Simon Evans and Hugo Rifkin. In the chair was me, Andy Zoltzman, and additional material was written by Peter Toulouche, Alice Fraser, Cameron Loxdale, Stu Cooper and Christina Riggs. The producer was Sam Holmes and it was a BBC Studios audio production for Radio 4.